Click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasing the Racing.
3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasing the Racing, episode 106. And we're joined for, is it the 4th or the 5th time, but by the adopted Geordie, Christian Iddon.
And it keeps coming back, so it's obviously all
I love
right.
it. I mean, I think you've added a few. It's 3, I think. But
Is it 3, is it?
I think so.
Oh, well, there we go. There we go.
Go on.
I was about to say, there's that much to try and cram in on this episode, but I'm over the moon that someone, before the season, has already got a title, Chrissy. The most stylish rider on the face of the planet Earth is Christian Iddon. There's a photo of you going around, is it Silverstone? Fully locked up, drifting.
That is the picture of the year so far.
Honestly, that if I tried to simulate that, I would be spending a few weeks in A&E, trying to get that.
Can I just ask you, because a few times I've went into that corner and I've spotted Bonnie Lane and I've purposely given it a bit extra trying to get the back end.
Okay,
was that a photo opportunity?
No, it genuinely wasn't. So the photo, I did spot it when we were doing a bit of a debrief and you're flicking through on, I was like, oh my God, that is the money shot right there. Like, it is just epic. But at the time, that corner's absolutely plagued my life. Like, that corner pretty much ruined my championship last year. So I was going through in testing going, I've just got no grip. I can't make it go forwards. And then you see that picture and you go, yeah, that looks so cool.
It doesn't matter if you came 10th in that race. You know what I mean? When it comes to it, the crowd will just scan, and the leader 1, 2, and 3, who gives a shit? Here comes Christian, fully smoking up. He's only done 4 laps, but you know what? It was worth it.
That is one of the best corners on the calendar, isn't it? In terms of enjoyment.
It's just fantastic. So it's the last corner at Silverstone that we're on about, and you come out the long right hand, don't you? And you build your speed, and then I hook 5th halfway around that long one, so it's fast in terms of you're going pretty quick, but it's also a pretty safe corner, isn't it? So it is a mint, and because you've got the speed, actually that sort of thing's easy to do. But like I said, when you know what it's like when you're trying to fight for and find that last little bit of grip. Actually, when that picture was taken, I was swearing in my helmet, wanting grip and wanting to be in a straight line like everyone around me seemed to be doing. I was speedwaying it.
I remember when World Superbikes were racing there, I think Crutchlow did the double that year, and when he came over the line, he did a proper massive slide. Yeah, it is a mega corner. But we'll get into obviously BSB testing. We were going to have a bit of a catch up today, and we thought it would be a perfect opportunity to bring you along, give a bit more of an in-depth sort of analysis on the BSB testing and sort of looking ahead for the season. But just quickly, obviously the last time we seen you was before the winter. Have you been keeping yourself well?
The winter was only 2 weeks ago. It's only just turned summer, Chrissy. So there you go.
Sunny, right?
It actually has. In concert, it was sleet this morning, wasn't it?
Now, to be fair, that's concert, so we both live near there. So.
No, everything's been really good actually. I've just been ticking over and keeping myself busy, and getting ready for the season ahead.
A few people actually commented over the last sort of week or so saying I was looking quite lean, and I've got to give a little bit of credit to you, Christian, for running your fat club in January and February, which I was delighted to be part of, and it turned out to be quite a success, didn't it?
Do you know what? I coached on a track day at Croft 2 days ago, and there was 6 or 7 people that did my online fitness training fat club. It wasn't fat club, but basically did it so that people could train alongside me over it was Facebook lives and that sort of thing. And it was it got a really, really good response, and it was actually really cool to see and meet some of the people. It was I went and did the briefing bit, and afterwards a load of people, not a load, but people going, oh, I did your training camp and this, that, and the other. And one had the T-shirt on and stuff, and then got a picture of him eating his muffin later.
Yeah,
a big Chelsea bunny.
It did actually turn into quite a good community on the Facebook, and the father-in-law Hugh was smashing it. Do you know, when I seen him down at Silverstone, he looked like he'd lost about, it must be 5-6 kilos or something.
Yeah, he's dead proud of himself, and he keeps doing that thing, where people wiggle their belly to show how much they've lost, and he's going, he wiggles his belly every time, pulls his trousers out to show how much extra room he's got. He's so proud of himself.
Yeah, good on on it. And is that something that you would sort of looked? I know you did it because you weren't racing, but like that's you've done a degree in sports science. Was it sports and exercise science or something?
Yeah, it was.
And like being a sort of expert on all that side of things and nutrition, if people are, is that a sort of service or a little business that you would look to be setting up?
I think I'll probably run it again like November time, and then I think I will do I'll do November because people want to get skinny so they can have a really fat December, and then I'll do January because it's always New Year, New Me, and then I'll do February, and then you have to get back into race mode. So I think that's how I'm going to work it. But I did have some people ask that were part of the group if I would almost like coach them throughout the year, but I just said I want to concentrate on my own thing, as much as that's a bit harsh to the people that had done what I was doing. It was only ever meant to be like a short-term thing for now.
Yeah, they'll understand that, man.
I know, they were dead good about it, and it sort of tempted me a little bit because it was basically just following a few lads around and sort of helping them out with not just like fitness, but it was just a general, almost being like a spotter for people in whatever club they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just thought it's not my kind of thing just yet.
Mm-hmm.
So for people listening that have just come across this, how does it work? Is it like a subscription kind of thing, when it starts up again?
Well, I just winged it, really. I didn't know what I was doing.
It's like a Facebook group on it.
Yeah,
like
it was.
I don't know, but I meant like, how people pay to be a part of this. Is that kind of the similar thing? Or?
I wasn't sure how to do it or what to do. It proper took me out of my comfort zone because I'm more than happy to race in front of a crowd of people, like as we all are, and sort of you're in your comfort zone, aren't you? But for me, jumping around in front of my laptop in front of 30 people on the other side of their laptop was really like scary. It was proper daunting. I can remember the build up before the first live session. I just, you just do not want to do it. I'm like, oh my God, like if I let rip or something, or fall over, whatever it is, it's horrible.
I don't know how you keep them in because when, like, obviously you're doing the same thing as Christian, so he's like, like coaching like through press ups and stuff, and I'm in the living room by myself, like, I'm thinking, how hasn't Christian done one like in a month? But,
to be fair, I'll tell you what, you've got to have some stones on you to go and sign up to your course, because people that have listened to this know like the frozen testicle story, which is like a timeless classic in motorsport stories, period. But like people know how athletic, like capable you are, so like signing up to that, I'd be like, what am I doing?
Actually, trying to get across to people that it wasn't like that, and I wasn't there to like ruin people. I did try to be like. No, like I'm
progressive.
Yeah,
you're inferior.
You're a lesser species. No, like what I really wanted to do was like really like trying to make people feel confident that they could improve, and whatever their level is, that's fine. Like the sort of the tagline for it was "Oats better than notes." So if like while you're doing it, just keep moving. Even if it's not the full movement or whatever it is, like everyone has different levels. So all I wanted to do was just add a bit of.
It was really well differentiated as well, because like there was lots of things where it was like an easy option and a hard option. So like no matter who was doing it, they could join along. And
but actually having the stories, the people thinking that I'd do all these things, actually probably to the detriment in the first bit, had stopped people from signing up because they did think that I was going to be asking them to do crazy amounts of exercise and whatever, and it really wasn't like that. So it is what I'm into, that sort of thing. But we did Birdie got us to do a fitness assessment the other day, and it was actually interesting how actually for motorbike sport there's not much like research on how sort of, not how fit you have to be, that's very personal, but what the body physically goes through. So with the team's trainer, we had quite a good conversation. It was really interesting, actually, about how we're looking into maybe trying to get some kind of research on actually just for pure knowledge's sake of what forces you put through the bike, because you really don't know.
Are you referring just to tarmac race and tarmac discipline? Because did they do that now? I'm just going to put this simple for people that haven't watched the episodes prior to this, but you're massive in your motocross and you focus on that a fair bit for your training. But that point prior, like, did they have that science knowledge about how much a motocrosser goes through?
Well, no, this is
literally just...
This was basically what the conversation started at. So Paul Bird employs a trainer for myself and Josh just to keep us on track and make sure we've got everything we need on the weekend, and just make sure we're all good, basically. And we went for this assessment, but we just were having the crack and just talking about, because he'd been looking into, because he was assessing us, he said it's very difficult to get any sort of data on how you should perform in these given tests, because there just hasn't been the research on it. Most research is based on sports where the actual physical exertion is what determines how good or bad you are, i.e. like running, like cycling. Even swimming is not fully there because there's a lot of technique, whereas obviously like motorbike racing, you could be super fit, but you're going to get absolutely beasted by someone who's got an ounce of talent. Like, it doesn't matter how fit you are within reason, sort of thing. So that's why there's not been the same research. So it's interesting because I always wear a heart rate monitor, so that's dead easy. So you know exactly what your heart rate's at.
Even when you're racing at British,
Yeah.
you're constantly wearing one.
Yeah, I wear one all the time when I'm racing, just to understand.
So is that a personal choice, or did
Yeah, no, I
teammate-
just
that's
see.
interesting.
Yeah. But what we don't know is when you're sort of trying to train your muscles to replicate what you're doing when you're racing, we don't know how hard we push on the bars or what forces you put through. I would love to have some kind of sensor on all the places that you press on the bike. So like your pegs, the bars, where you squeeze with the knees, on your seat pad, to see what forces go through it. In a car, it's dead easy because you'd go off G-force because the driver is static.
Yeah, locked in.
You know exactly what forces they go through because G is absolutely, that is, the body is doing exactly what the car is doing.
Yes, yeah.
But on a bike, like, we're often trying to go in a different direction to the bike wants to go. Like if you're changing direction through a chicane, the bike's wanting to turn left and you want to turn right, you're forcing that right handlebar.
That would be
So
interesting,
hard.
wouldn't
So I'm a bit of a numbers geek.
Now, to be fair, if there's anyone out there listening to this that can actually help you out with that, that would be such an interesting angle, wouldn't it?
It's only just for, it's just for interest's sake. But...
No,
And also, for example, do you know if you're training in the gym and you're, say, doing sprints and you're like physically working really hard to get your heart rate up into like, say, 180 plus. But on a motorbike, like for example, the other day, sat in pit lane ready to go out, you put your earplugs in and you can weirdly sort of hear your own heart rate. Sat there doing no physical work at all, and your heart rate's boom, 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 boom. So it must be, like there's the heat thing, there's the mental thing that you focus. But when you're sat on the grid doing absolutely no work, your body is working really hard. So it's. Are you okay talking about your heart rate during racing and stuff, or would you like to keep that private?
No, that's fine.
What sort of what's your max and what sort of average during a race?
So this is where for me, we always talk about fitness when I'm in. I don't know why.
No, but
we'll go through it quickly. But the I have quite a low heart rate for almost all physical activity that I do. I really struggle to get my heart rate to go above. Like 150 would be really trying hard, and if I went above that,
I think I'm on that right now. I've just had a coffee in the kitchen.
Everybody works differently, so that's, and basically if I tried to go anything above that, like if I was doing it running or whatever it was, my muscles would give way before my heart did, if that makes sense. I could never sustain enough muscular exertion in order to get my heart rate to spike. However, when I'm racing, or in testing, or not necessarily testing, but certainly in qualifying practices, on a race weekend, my heart rate stays like 180-ish, so 180-ish, which is impossible for me to sustain through exercise. Well, for example, I went for a cycle the other day and my average heart rate was 120, and that was me trying really, really, really hard. So all that extra heart rate on top is purely through the adrenaline, through the being in the moment. It's to me that's really interesting.
I once had a lady, she's called Vanessa. She was doing I think it was like a PhD or something at university, and as part of her research, she wired me up to like a heart rate monitor during a few races and testing and stuff. And there was one time I like nearly had a massive crash, and my heart spiked to like 207 or something. And it was a huge moment, where you like just hold on. And I remember just seeing like she like couldn't believe like the heart had went that high.
Like, when you're like information, can you tell where you are in the race at that point? Because what I've like noticed on MotoGP, and I love it, it's like, when they put up a rider's facts. Do they all wear heart rate monitors? The riders?
I don't know how they do that ship to shore thing, that live one.
Ship to shore thing? I've never heard that term. What?
Yeah, so the rider is the ship and the shore is whatever's receiving it. I don't know how they do that. My heart rate monitor, I wear one and then I start it on my watch and then I download it after when I get back. So I don't take anything along with me. But no, mine basically goes up to like 160, 170 almost from the start of the
From
race.
go.
But then it basically, well, this is what I'd be interested in if our race were any longer, because it basically just keeps on going up and up and up and up and up. So I'm a bit worried that if our races were much longer, that I might actually combust at some
Set on
point.
fire,
You know,
that's it.
if it carried on that trajectory, I'm a bit worried.
That's interesting
We
because
did
their
it-
heart rate drops. You know, like you say, how accurate that information is would be because of the ship to shore. I like that. I'm all about that terminology now. But no, it's interesting because like the way that when they go on, it doesn't. They drop. You know, from the start line, it's like they're force feeding adrenaline in, going, and then once they get in a rhythm, they're all like robots, aren't they? It's like you lads. You're so consistent with your times.
They've shown, is it Vinales who has the really low one? You know, there's one there's one lad who's got a ticker really low. I think it's Maverick, and he's super low on his ticker, and it's just
How low's the tick? Do you know?
I think it's like 140s, 130s even. It's
Right.
even lower than that, I think, in some points. Whereas most of the riders, when they go to them, are like 160s, 170-ish. So,
Right.
like I said, it is very sort of set to each. It's
That's
not a. Your heart rate is not a determination of how fit you are. It's an
Yes.
indicator, but it's not an exact thing. But that is, I do find it really interesting. But I am a numbers geek.
I
so.
did a thing at do you know the Loughborough Sports Uni. They have a specific thing for like testing, and a lot of the motorcycle racing and car races and stuff go there. And I went there a few months ago, and they do it's to do with like lactic acid. So you can do it running or cycling. I did it running, but you basically increase your speed, and then they stop you every 4 minutes and take like your lactic acid, and then they show it on a graph to show exactly. You'll know loads more about this, but anyway, it was dead interesting. And then we did a VO2 max, and again that was all the feedback and stuff was really interesting. Just to wrap this up on fitness, that when we were following Christian, would be like going through a set or whatever and things, and like you like proper burning sweat and things, like out of breath, and then you look up and Christian's just sat there as if he's just done nothing. He's doing it as well, just done absolutely nothing, and then he'd be like right, that's the warm-up finished. And you're like, God.
But that test that you were just on about, I was smiling because I did years ago when I was with Red Bull. I did the same test, and we went to Austria to do some assessments, and actually that was when Johnny Ray first signed up with them. Eugene Laverty was there because they were up from the Red Bull Rookies program at the time, so I was doing Supermoto, so that's how I sort of got friendly with those guys. And then I think Midge Smart was there. One of the Neat brothers was sponsored by them as well, so we all went there. And the lactic acid, basically it's a ramp test but on a treadmill, so you get progressively faster. And the reason they take the blood is to check how much lactic acid's in your blood. It's the most accurate way of checking. Obviously, with it being a ramp test, I was like, well, I'll just go like I absolutely blitzed it. Like I beat everyone else that was on it with me. Like, and this was before I'd really trained, so I wasn't fit. But you know, like I just thought as long as I beat them. And I remember seeing the woman had a sheet, and it was like just a Word document, and she had say 10 levels that was printed, and then after that she had to write them in. So I was like, flip, as long as if I get to the end of there, obviously not many people get to there, do they? You know, like so, and she had to start writing them in. By the end of it, I was absolutely flat out. You know, you proper like give it absolutely everything. And then at the end, we got our results, and I remember this big dude who was the scientist come in, and he was like, "You," and he pointed at me. I'm like, "Here we go."
Where's my trophy?
I'm the Don. He went, "You're the unfittest here," and I'm like, "What?" Apparently I was, because you start off in the bleep test, it's literally walking speed, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And he went, "You were producing lactic acid when you were walking."
Really?
So I had a big old like argument about, yeah, but I went further than everyone. Like,
so maybe you
me as a child,
you physically weren't that fit, but mentally you got through the
something. So I sort of had quite a heated discussion with him about like, well, I won. Like, I totally won, and he's got like, no, you didn't win. Like, in science terms, I totally lost.
He probably got bullied by kids like you at school, and he went, you know what, that blonde prick's getting it. You know what I mean?
But it was just, you know, it's just was funny, and you think, yes, I absolutely blitzed that, and he like pointed me out. I was like, here we go, gold star for Iddon. No.
Oh, but yeah, anyway, so like a quick plug there. If anyone is wanting to get involved, it'll be November-ish time.
Yeah, it'll be November time.
And I'll be joining back up.
And before we move on to the next subject,
actually, you still owe me for that last one, Chrissy.
Yes, get your hand in your pocket, son. Get your hand in your pocket.
£10, please.
There you are. I'll pay the man. Why are you giggling? just
Look, with his nervous laugh.
Chrissy, stop looking at me. I've been at work all day, but pay the man.
I'll do a swap for our new merchandise.
Did he want a hat? Did he?
That is a very nice hat.
It is, yeah.
I prefer cash.
There you go. Speaking of cash, that was my next subject. Has anyone put the Euros on tonight? 112 million, lads. Oof. 112 million.
And what would you buy?
What would I buy? Well, you can't buy talent, and that's what I really, really need. You know what I mean? So, oh God, what would be a first initial buy?
You sit on lawnmower.
Oh no, that wouldn't be my first buy. That's the dream. That I want enough grass to cut with a sit-on lawnmower, and I want a fridge on Spencer's ice. And if I've got both of them, I think
They're achievable goals, I reckon.
Of course they are. You know what I mean? You just have to work a bit harder, don't you? You know what I mean? It's no, but very, very simple to please. But no, what would you like if you won that money? You got the phone call, right? You're 112 million. What would be your first initial purchase straight off the bat?
I think it wouldn't
be a bottle of wine for you. You don't drink this.
For me, it would actually be in racing. I'd probably go to Birdie and ask him if we could go MotoGP. It would have to be something like that. It would have to be.
How far would 112 million get you in MotoGP?
Oh, pretty far.
You reckon?
Yeah, 100%. That's a lot of money.
No, I'm not talking about your talent. No, it is an obscene amount of money, but realistically, it's not like we're talking about billionaire. No,
you could buy a seat in MotoGP for, like, say, when Tito Rabat used to ride there, and, you know, it wouldn't, like £1 million?
I'd say less than that.
Probably. $500,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you think you're competing, for example, if they're going to pay, say, Alicia Spargo $500,000, and you're offering to do
and he doesn't win, he's never won in his life, so
and you're wanting to pay $500,000,
I'm nicking
exactly.
It's a no-brainer.
I am nicking your dream. I'm nicking your dream. If I won that money tomorrow, right, I would pay it. Even though I'll get lapped, totally obliterated. But imagine going down the local Weatherspoons going, you know what? I'm a MotoGP.
They brought a rule in for it, didn't they? Do you remember when Chris Ponson raced year ago or 2 years ago?
Never even heard the name.
Yeah, so he went to Valencia, I think it was, to stand in for it. And it might even have been Rabat when he was injured. And he was quite a long way off the pace. And they then brought in a rule that all the other teams had to agree on any replacement riders to stop that sort of thing happening.
Would you, by the way, so like with that money, would you go straight at MotoGP, or would you not fancy World? Not fancy World Bash?
No, straight to MotoGP.
Let's talk through that system. How would you do it then? Would you just like say I need to go testing? How much testing would you want to do on that bike before you actually went?
Well,
to
as
the
much
grid?
as you could, but
right, 112
you would get
million.
blitzed, wouldn't you?
When's the next round? When's the next round of MotoGP? Chris,
Tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow? Right. Okay. What's the following one after that?
I don't know.
We don't know. So, like in theory, let's say a month.
The trouble is, I've not put any money on the Euro. I've not put my numbers on.
Well, you're not getting. Well, I'm getting 112 million. I bought a ticket, so I'm going to buy you a ride, son. There you go. God, I hope your missus doesn't listen to that. A MotoGP ride there. A MotoGP ride. So you got a month, right? How would you want to do it? Like literally, would it be like I need to be on a bike every day?
It would be. It's a pipe dream, but it would be
cool.
No,
I'm 112 million up at the moment compared to you lot. So,
having said that, the last person who jumped on a bike was Cambobier, wasn't it?
He did mega as well.
Not Bobier, sorry. Was it Bobier?
Yeah.
Was it Valencia? That was at Valencia.
Oh no, Garrett Gerloff.
Garrett Gerloff. Sorry, that's who I was thinking of. And he was actually amazing, because that's a bit of a thing. Like you think, oh, it'd be impossible to ride those bikes and learn, but that dude honestly went on and he showed a lot of impressive.
It's not as if he's like dominating World Superbikes. He's
he's
exactly
just
that sort of cutting his teeth in World Superbikes. But yeah, he was like the commentary team were absolutely buzzing with him because he kept jumping up to like fourth and fifth, and he certainly didn't embarrass himself. He wasn't like.
I mean, at the end of the day, like the thing is yes, like the MotoGP riders are the best riders in the world, and the MotoGP bikes are the best bikes in the world. But at the end of the day, they're only dudes on motorbikes. The same as the three of us are just dudes on motorbikes. So everything's doable, really. But you'd get blitzed, but it's all doable if you had enough time.
A lot of BSB riders, like when Birdie had his team, like the likes of Ellison went over, Michael Labberty went over. I remember Ellison beat Valentino Rossi in his last race at Valencia that year. Can you remember when Lorenzo had that massive high side avoiding? It was, wasn't it?
He did,
he went offline on the wet and had like one of the biggest crashes in the world. But yeah, it's very difficult because not many people get the opportunity. So it's a massive question for me is, how many MotoGP riders would you be confident if you put on a World Superbike Kawasaki would beat Jonathan Rea in over a championship?
That's a great question.
There's not one MotoGP rider that I would be like, 100%.
I agree with you. Absolutely
Wow.
agree
Stick
with you.
Jack Miller on Kawasaki.
You did not come up with
He
that
might-
question
He
yourself.
might win.
That's a fantastic because
stick Quattro on.
everyone always does it the other way around.
Right.
So that is a mint way of putting that.
They might be able to beat him, but
Are you just in full agreement with Chrissy then?
100%.
Wow.
I think Johnny is an absolute
A machine, isn't he?
unbelievable, and the way that was put, because it is hard to jump from the other way. So for Johnny to go there, you would go, oh, you're not sure where he would finish, but to actually say, right, put them on in his playing field that's a clever way of putting it. And yes, I don't see anyone that I would definitively go, they will go and beat him.
On the talk of MotoGP, do you think Marquez is going to get that confidence back? Do you think?
No, I don't.
Right.
This has been because I was definitely in a class of one in our little group chat that I was having. Everyone's really excited about Mark coming back.
Of course, it worked. Like I was.
Well,
everyone
sorry,
is,
not that I wasn't super excited, but
Oh,
they were convinced that he was going to come back and wallop everyone.
Yeah. Storm owes me a tenner, by the way. He lost that bet, so if you're listening, you owe me a tenner.
There's
You
a lot
owe
of
him
tenors though.
Yeah, that you owe him a
It's like
tenner.
a money go round.
Shove your hat up your arse. Sorry, Splash.
I'll have your tenner. You can wrap it up in a hat.
So yeah, we're talking, serious conversation.
Yeah,
Confidence.
so
right.
like obviously everyone in our little WhatsApp group was like, he's going to wallop everyone, and I was like, I don't think he is. And the reason being that my only little air of reservation is Marc Marquez has this. I don't want to go on for too long, but Marc Marquez has this mentality about him where nothing has ever affected him before. All right, and he's got that ability to have a crash, jump straight back on a bike, and go even faster than he went before. You know, like we've seen it in qualifying, we've seen it in
How many
hundreds
years
of times that he's done
over
it.
the years, haven't we?
And I sort of came up with this. I had this idea about why it was that he was like that, and I don't understand that mentality and almost everyone doesn't understand that mentality. But then, to put it in a really odd term, we also don't understand someone who goes out and murders someone, but to them that's all right. You know, like a murderer, that's an okay thing. To Marc Marquez, going out after crashing and going even faster is an okay thing. You know, some people's mentality doesn't work the same as everyone else's, and I think his was like that.
He's in the psychopathic category at that point.
Yeah. But he almost got to a point where he was almost invincible. Marc Marquez had some absolutely enormous crashes.
Huge saves as well.
Time after time after time, got back up, dusted himself down, jumped on his spare bike and gone even faster. It's the first time he's got bitten,
Badly.
properly bitten. And I don't know whether that's brought him away from
His invincibility.
where he was the only person that had that mentality, and all that it's done is brought him back into the realms of normality.
Yeah.
And that was my little idea that I had, and
No, I
it's
think that's a fair comment. That I don't think anyone who's out there going, well, he's right. No, I think that's a total fair comment. That is the first time he's properly been bitten.
properly bitten.
No,
yeah,
because you two have been bitten,
Mm-hmm.
haven't you? And you know that psychological, you know, that to get back on the bike, that is not.
But
a simple,
almost for him,
right, let's
the
get on with
number
it.
of times that he crashed and it never got him could almost give him even more confidence, because you go, well, nothing bad happens if you fall off these things. You know,
Yeah,
that
I know what you
almost he'd fallen off so many times that actually that's fine. You can do what you want.
I wonder do you know if you went to
Yeah,
all the
no,
bookies
no.
and asked for them for odds for Marquez not to win another GP? I wonder what the bookies would give you for
Well, like a
that.
gambling show now. Tennis here, let's go to the bookies. Let's
most
get
people
some
do-
Lambert and Butler.
Like most experts would fancy him to definitely win another one, but just going off what you've just said, you know, this podcast.
I could be completely wrong. You'll probably go and win this weekend.
I was
Which
going to
is
say this podcast is going to age
really well.
Either really well or really badly, but yeah, it's do you know?
Is it going to get put out after the race weekend?
I know.
Marc Marquez has won.
Grace and the editing, you better put the shift into you.
Do you know we the North Yorkshire Road Racing Supporters Club that me and
Nice
Dom are sponsored
plug.
by,
Nice
and it's
plug.
actually where me and Dom met for the first time. It wasn't this night. We had Dr. Martin Rains there, who's the statistician for MotoGP, and
Well said.
he was actually a massive topic for that evening was looking at Marquez's crash rate, and this was a few years ago. And I remember him saying, he was with Gavin Emmett at the time, and he was basically saying statistically, Marquez is definitely going to hurt himself sometime soon. And he was going through.
You don't have to be a genius to figure that out.
He looked at. all of the stats for all of MotoGP races. He broke it up into like all the ex-champions and how many times they've crashed in like the given times. Marquez was so far ahead of any other person. He was just saying at some point it's definitely going to bite him, and that'll possibly stop him from like breaking Rossi's records and stuff. So but very interesting.
It is interesting, and obviously like I'm the same as anyone. He is absolutely incredible. You know, like the things he does is things that nobody else can do that I've seen ever on a motorbike. So we all hope that he gets back to that sort of level. But yeah, I think mentality wise for me it's quite interesting. Motorbike racing is actually so much in the head. You know, that confidence, the minute you have a little knock, 1%, 0.5%, then it's a big difference.
It's really difficult to get that, but I'm excited with it.
Honda in general in MotoGP are really struggling at the moment.
Yeah.
But there's like Paul Espargaro's he ended last year really strong on the KTM, and he's really struggling. Alex Marquez is doing very poorly. Mark's like crashing his brains out.
Yeah, Nakagami's actually the shining light really at the moment, and he's still struggling. Not
doing as well as what he was doing last year.
Yes.
So it's they're having a tough time.
I do not mean to put a dip in this conversation. I'm so sorry. We're talking about biting, confidence, and the danger in the sport, but I actually never watched the last race. And I'm so sorry. There'll be a lot of upset people when I say this, but who was the poor lad who was it? The Moto3 rider that was it, or Moto2 rider that?
Moto3. So that was a lad called Jason Dupasquier.
That yes.
Yeah.
Aye. So which circle was it that? I'm sorry. I'm not. I literally my Facebook blew. I'm like, oh Jesus, what the hell's that?
It was at Mugello.
Right.
So it was in. I think it was in Q1 when he went down.
And qualifying?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Q1. Just one of those unfortunate things. I was watching the session at the time.
It didn't go. Did that get broadcast? I'm not going to go looking for it. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean. But did it get broadcast?
It was broadcast live, but thankfully
it got caught. Aye.
He went down. Actually, another rider hit the bike, which was quite a sizable crash.
Right.
And the cameras had panned to that part of the crash, and what we didn't see was he then got collected later.
Right.
So yeah, it was just that's just one of those things that can happen in our sport. It is what it is. It's just a shame, isn't it? You know, a really it's irrelevant that he's a talented young lad. The fact is, he's a young lad, and he's he's not with us anymore. But it is just one of those things, isn't it? We all know that sort of thing can happen.
It hits home, doesn't it? It just shows how it is a dangerous sport, and we all still love the danger element of it. But when it goes wrong, it is horrible. It's horrible.
Thoughts, obviously, to his like family and friends and team and stuff. It's one of those things that there's kind of two ways of looking at it, isn't there? There's one that it's really sort of unlucky when you actually think about the sport that would take part in, and you think about like every weekend, week in, week out, there's like 40 people going around as fast as they can on massive, like there are like nearly the big bikes are, like getting over 200 kilograms filled with fuel going at like almost 180 miles an hour. It's, it's a miracle that it doesn't happen as often as if it does, really.
And every now and again, a freak accident happens, and it's just...
Yeah,
is what it is.
It just shows where the sports come from with the safety aspect.
100%.
I'll tell you what, speaking of safety, you lads were up at Knock Hill. Let's talk about that. That's a tight Nadri track. So how did that all go for you? You know what I mean?
There's been a few BSB tests now, hasn't there? So the first one was...
Oh, jeez, we're going to be here a while now.
Silverstone, the first one, I think.
Yeah, Silverstone.
And then what we did...
Alton we did, didn't we?
Alton.
Have I missed one?
Snetterton was...
Oh, yeah, Snetterton.
No, we did. Motorsport riding. Did I miss work?
No, we did.
Did I sleep in?
We did 2 days at Snet, but literally
nothing was
virtually nothing.
And then
Jesus,
the weather was horrendous.
10 of you went out, 8 of you
crashed.
Didn't come home.
And then Knock Hill was a bit of a weird one because the others have been like official BSB tests, where this one was a BSB test for BSB riders only, but it was sort of organised through the circuit.
But
pretty much all the BSB lads were there,
most of them
and
were there,
it was a really good test.
I'm going to speak as a BSB fan. It generally shit how that wasn't timed. Did you lads enjoy that it wasn't timed?
Actually,
no. You know what I mean?
Go on, you can answer first.
I feel like first dates. You go. No, you first. Yeah, I'd like to see him again.
You're in, son. I'll leave right there.
Chris goes, but I'm not sure it's for me. We have to get in a different taxi on the closing shot.
And he's paying. No, so like obviously not being timed. Did you enjoy that aspect of it or not? Go on, Chrissy.
I preferred it because So I'm really trying really hard this year to focus on long runs and race distances and that sort of thing, which is horrible because I see myself tumbling down timesheets because people throw heaters in and tyres and this, that and the other. So it's hard then for me to stick to my plan, switch off from that, because no matter how much you want to stick to that plan, you see your name dropping down the timesheet.
In a monk, he just wants to get out.
You just want to go, you're thinking, I could just put a tyre, just have a little go, just a little one. When it doesn't help anything for me, what I'd like to achieve. So for me at Knockhill, it was actually really good because that screen didn't exist. And actually, until we came and I just came and had a chat with Chrissy, and he had a bit of inside knowledge of who was doing what. But until that point.
How did you have that then?
Well, I just going around the pipe, I'm timing people.
Are you just going around with your chasing the racing clipboard guy? What time did you do, son? Let me just have a look at your Vortec.
So for me, that was actually better because I just stuck to the task in hand, and if I went faster or slower than myself, then you know what's what.
But do you have a lap timer on your bike, like a physical lap timer on the ZX10?
There's data. Off the data log, and you can get it, but
you
does
can't.
Does it not come up on your dash?
I think it needs programmed in. Not at the moment, but
you can you on your?
Yeah,
motor?
well, I'm actually surprised that Chrissy isn't. I live by my.
I did last year, but with the Kawasaki, I think we're just waiting for one thing to get pro.
And the BM came up on the dash, didn't it?
So did you like not having times?
I loved it. Yeah, very much. Like you say, you want to back-to-back things, but it's when there's a timing screen and your mind's half wondering, and you sort of half wanting to bite the screen to get up the time sheet. Where take that out of the equation, it was actually really nice. Yeah, I much preferred it.
Well, Percy, because obviously this episode's sponsored by Ladbrokes, it's done nothing good for the bookies. You know what I mean? No one, I was at work at the waiting for the lads to tidy up, and literally top of this popular going, I'm going to check times. I'm like, what the? And I rang your dad, going, well, what times is he doing? It makes no difference. But as far as the BSB spectate, it's the ultimate show, isn't it? The BSB. You want to know what's going on.
It was only because it wasn't a BSB test, so it was just a Knockhill. It was a track day basically. Knockhill, open the track, and if you're in BSB or stock or whichever it was, you could go and.
Mm-hmm. So this was an open pit lane situation. So could you lads? How many were there off yous?
Well, the first day was open pit lane.
Right.
I bet there was probably 30, 35 bikes probably first
day.
day.
Is that it? Because how many people can you have? Knockhill's up. Okay, quickly. What's a lap time round Knockhill? On a
47 to 49 seconds, depending.
So, but that would theoretically lower the numbers that you could have on track because of the lap size.
All the tracks have a predetermined
number.
Right. They have a number for racing that they're allowed.
Yeah.
And they have a number for
track days.
Got
you. Do you know those numbers?
No.
Damn it. There
was plenty of space though, because it was open.
There's plenty of space.
Because it was pit lane, obviously people aren't out all day, so you can wait for a bit of track space. And at any one time there was between, I would say, 6 to 15 bikes out, something like that.
It was pretty good to be fair.
Yeah, it was fine. And it was a really good test. I just wanted to quickly ask you out of all of the BSB testing, are you happy? We've got one more test to go at Donington, but are you happy going into the season? Everything sort of going to plan so far?
Yeah, I'm actually really, really happy with how it's gone. Last year was obviously my first year on the bike, and all through testing I was that slow that we didn't do any testing because my feedback was horrendous and I couldn't really give anything. And then once we got into the season, obviously, because it was so condensed and because they added a race and got rid of a practice session, we basically did no real setup changes through the year. And Josh ran a couple of parts that were really different to mine. So it's only this year that I've tried those bits, and they've.
Are you talking about physical parts on the motorcycle, swinging arms and such like that, right?
Not that big, but they may actually make a bigger difference than what that sort of thing would do. Actually, and it's just been good. It's just been good to put them on and go, oh well, this does that, and blah blah blah. And I rode with Josh quite a lot last year, and it was interesting to know whether it was me that was doing things differently or whether it was his bike or whether it was a combination of me and the bike compared to Josh and his bike. So go into some of the things that he used is interesting. And it's not that those things weren't available to me. They were in the truck for me if I wanted them. Just my side of the garage decided we were going to stick to what we had and what we knew.
So, out of all of your competitors, is there anybody that's been a surprise so far? Have you been impressed or the opposite with anybody throughout testing?
I'm not going to say the opposite, but there is no one that I can say the opposite about anyway.
Nice.
got out
See
of
how
that
he
one.
jumped in and just jumped straight back out of that
No,
one.
I
Well
mean,
done,
like-
my man.
I think BSB is just so competitive. You know, like it's crazy. Like if you actually put the list of riders in front of me of who's what would be, I'd go through them all and go, you know,
Yeah.
they've got a good chance. But no, the standouts for me, Josh is clearly a standout because that's the whole point. A championship finds the best rider, and he's got the number 1 plate on, so that means he has got to be, you know, the top. Jason has been looking really good throughout all of testing. So is Taz. So the two McCams bikes. The one for me who I really think I think he's a standout rider in general, is Kyle Ride. I think a lot of him, and I actually wish that he would go to Moto2 or something because I think he is our next rider in Britain. I know he had a bit of a chance before at World Championship race and it didn't work out for him. I actually really hope that he gets a chance to go soon abroad. I think I think he's. It's funny with Kyle because he's got like this like bit like of a Eminem type look about him. You know, like he looks
The
a bit
bleach blonde hair. And
yeah,
stuff
you know,
like
like he looks a bit dense
Shady.
at times. You know, like he looks a bit shady.
that. Yes.
But when you speak to him,
Do
he's,
you get that one,
he's,
Chrissy?
he's
Thank God.
so analytical about, you know, how he rides and how he really like focuses on what other riders do, and he's clever. You know,
He's just fast.
When- when-
He's
yeah.
just so fast.
When things are right for Kyle, like for example, when he was comfortable with Craig Fitzpatrick,
yeah.
on the 600, he was unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
There's when he was back with Ryan Saxelbein, when he's like sort of comfortable in a team, and like I don't know if it's whether he feel like a good relationship with the crew chief or like feels like loved or whatever it is, he's like unbelievable. And I watch a lot of the testing and stuff, especially when Superbikes are out. I'm always out watching, and I would say the sort of two for me would be Kyle. Kyle looks unbelievably smooth and impressive, and also I think Vickers has been looking very good. He had a little crash the other day, but again, the first few tests he's not been thrown tyres in, so he's been during the day you'll be seeing him like near the front, and then at the end when everyone's been thrown the soft tyres in, he'll drop to like sort of 11th or 12th at the overall, so it doesn't look that standout, but his actual pace I think is pretty strong.
Pardon me, does he have a teammate this year? Because Kennedy was his teammate last year. They
No,
had
he
two
doesn't.
Superbikes, didn't they?
Yeah, there
Just
was
Lewis
talk
Rollins.
of it, but yeah, they've got stock with Rollo.
You know how you really, really well dodged out that question in the Superbike? Let's talk about Stock 1000. Who's going to do what then?
Do you know what? Stock 1000 is absolutely stacked, so I take keen interest because, like, brother-in-law to be obviously racing it, and a couple of my mates at racing it. So, Chrissy races in it. You know, like there's.
A couple of my mates plus Chrissy.
Oh, you got the joke then. I didn't think you were going to cut on.
Oh, we're in a WhatsApp group together. We've been lining up that one for ages.
But no, like this year, I think it's super stacked. I think that's getting more and more stacked as it goes on. The Stock 1000 this year is like last year was hard.
It's gonna be well good. Isn't
It is stacked.
How is the brother-in-law, by the way, Baz? Is he all set for the season?
All good, I think. So he's on the same bike as he was last year. He jumped on the Kawasaki last year from the BM, and I think he didn't take to it straight away. But they've been doing a lot of like work behind the scenes, and Hugh in his little garage has been tinkering away, and I think they've got the bike a lot better than what they had it last year. So I hope he can put some good results together, because he was year before last he was pretty much always in the points, and last year it wasn't that way. So he can definitely ride a bike, and sometimes you just don't gel straight away. So hopefully sort of
talking about confidence as well, isn't it? Just getting that confidence back, and that's the thing, isn't it?
Getting that feel.
We answered my next question. You're obviously not married yet. When is the day?
Oh, bloody Rona keeps pushing it back, doesn't it? So
Is that
as in Corona? She's not called Rona.
Yeah, she's found out about the other myth.
That wasn't a name. What was it again? The other one.
Is it?
I'm only Q if you are listening. He's already marrying the one.
Is it during this year you're due to get married?
Yeah, so we're a week or 2 weeks after the last round, so end of October.
That'll be perfect, won't it?
Yeah, be good. Be good.
Okay.
So that was a bit of a conversation killer. That's already had one answer to it there. So you'll have to look through your list here, Chrissy, for the next
that's
subject.
fine. I'm just thinking of the BSB sort of things. A quick one. We've mentioned this on the podcast a few times about Jack Kennedy running Mupo suspension. I had clocked on the last test that he's running K-Tech, I believe. So I don't know if that's been I don't know what's going on there.
Oh,
but
right.
I just thought I would mention that.
Because they're running the 636 chassis, aren't they? He's the only one who's got
Yes.
it to work,
Yeah.
unless he's changed that as well.
Also, Kyle Smith, who's a lot of sort of people talking about him. He had a big, well, I don't know how big the crash was, but he looked
looked winded.
quite injured. I think he's either broke his shoulder or snapped his collarbone or something. He was going off to hospital. So
I'm willing to step in.
best wishes to Kyle. And other than that, there wasn't that many Supersport riders at the last test, but Donington's this Tuesday, so that's the final BSB test and back open to spectators as well. So if you are listening to this before Tuesday,
get there. They've got 4,000 people can go, I think, in it, or whatever it is.
Where, Rona.
Well, Alton was sold out, so you're gonna have to get your tickets quick as well, I think, because I'm sure Donington will be nearly sold out, if not.
So obviously, depending on future situations with the Rona, but when do the gates fully open?
June the 21st.
Yeah, so
June the 21st, and then you can just go mad and ram the place over.
First BSB round was pushed back just after that date so that we could have unlimited spectators. I'm really hoping that the government stick with that 100%. And it is unlimited because, there's like 10,000 allowed in stadiums at the moment, which if you think like going on public transport, all getting there at the same time, eating at the same time, or toilets, all that. And then you think of like Alton Park, which is like
an open space that's enormous. Everyone turns up in a car, on a bike, on their own, like almost self-isolated, whatever it is, like all those things they want you to do.
Perfect.
It doesn't make any sense, does it? But
okie doke. Well,
it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully see plenty of fans there. Just a few other quick things. The things I would like to talk about. We've got MotoGP. We've sort of touched on it a little bit, but MotoGP. We've got World Superbikes. Estoril Racing was unreal at the weekend. A bit of Dom was racing at Scarborough. The last podcast we did.
Scarbeloth.
The last podcast we did was on the Saturday night, so Dom was out racing the next day, so we'll go a little bit of that, and also Dom was at Cadwell at the weekend. So I tell you what, we'll just quickly go through Scarborough. I came down for the weekend, and unfortunately the parade laps got cancelled. I was really looking forward to actually riding the track myself.
Were you going to do it?
Yeah, I took my ZX10 down.
Oh, did you?
He was fully dressed up, the whole job lot, and obviously the candid. Now, personally, I think that they were running behind on the schedule.
A few red flags.
And to be fair, right, I'm actually over the moon they stuck with that decision, because normally the parade always gets out, and I understand why they put the parades out to get the money into the club and get it going, but that's the first time I've been at a road race event and they've actually scrubbed the parade, like to actually get the racing going. So fair play to them lot. Fair play to them lot.
And are you getting something out for?
No. I wrote some notes. I know I'll tell you what, Kev Pinder there.
Yeah.
I've been desperate to find, if anyone out there's listening can forward me the information, I'm desperate to find Sulby speed trap times from 2019.
Right.
So no, the reason I'm saying that is because I want to know how much faster is a Kawasaki to a Suzuki that in stock times. Because Sulby straight, that is depending on quarry bends. You know what I mean? But in the same breath, when you just get in a rhythm, you back one, you drive it through, and they're round about there or thereabouts. But I would like to know how much slower a Gixxer is at the TT course, because like on short circuit wise, the Gixxer's up there with you lads, isn't it?
Why do you want to know that? You getting one? No,
well, funny enough, speaking to the DC lads down at Cadwell Park there, we're going round now. They kind of got me a Kawasaki because they said, oh, well, wait, would you like to ride on? I said, well, last year I was on a Kawasaki and I enjoyed it. So they went and bought Danny Ken's stock 1000, absolutely mint bike. But my biggest bugbear with the 1000 class is you need a laptop. It doesn't matter what bike you buy, especially the BMW, you need a laptop to get the most out of it. Now, don't get me wrong, you need the Pilot on it to get it. It's a beautiful combination. But really, it's a case of Mike's running a Gixxer 1000. And I'm running a ZX10, and like the DC lads are wanting to go to a one flavour team, and I'm just incredibly lucky that someone wants to put me on 1000 period. So I've totally put Mike Norbury on the back foot. I'm going, well, Mike, you make the decision. It's it is the cheaper bike out, the lot of them, and it is
the Suzuki.
The Suzuki is, yeah, and it's and really it's a more of a. Would you agree with me by saying it's a more friendly user package? I was actually on the phone to Timney, where he's biased, isn't he? He's riding for build-based Suzuki, but he says there's a bigger window to ride in, and theoretically you need less of a laptop to do it. So I think it's ticking all the boxes. But really, when you get to road racing, you do need ponies.
Mm-hmm.
You do need ponies. So I'm begging to find out, and there'll be people like Anoraks trying to get there. But Kev Pinder, who's normally our Anorak for facts, he can't find it. I think they've actually scrapped the archives, like all the information. I think the TD have got rid of it all.
Where is it?
No
Well,
idea.
we'll put it out then.
We'll put it out there. So
Anyone that
anyone
knows,
anyone that knows, that's it. No,
But
but Richard Cooper, was it you telling me? This is ages ago. He was telling me this, but was it he did just shy of 200 mile an hour on a stocker at the Northwest 200?
Yeah, but how much does he weigh?
I am not, but I'm a considerably fat lump compared to him, aren't I? So it's like if I get, if I join your
It's like
fat
a
club,
5-year-old
if I
boy,
join your
isn't he?
fat
That's
club,
what Cooper.
No, speaking of...
how's he doing? Has anyone seen him, Richard Cooper? Since his leg, he was a bit like.
Well, naturally, the conversation came up the other day when I was coaching, and a few of the lads that know him say that he is still trying to recover fully from his injury. So I think it was a pretty big injury. I do think it was pretty bad.
Well, the good thing is he's taking his time to actually get the job right before we turn it back.
I think that was basically the long and short of the conversation. Was I don't think he's going to rush to rush back if it's not right. Yeah, and if it is right, then I'm sure he'll ride.
That's a wise move, that though, isn't it? You know what I mean? Once you're fast, you're fat. That's the bottom line of it. So whenever he does turn back up, he'll just be straight back on the pipe.
We'll get him sorted for a podcast. It'll be really nice to catch up with him sometime soon. But just quickly going through Scarborough. So we kind of talked about the Saturday a little bit. Sunday, big talking points. There was quite a few Irish lads came over. Davey Todd was back on the Wilson Craig. Chris Burns made his debut.
MotoGP style.
The first MotoGP rider to ride at Scarborough.
Is that true?
Since MotoGP,
I was going to say, because there was quite a lot of GP stars back in the day.
Barry Sheen.
Yeah, I was going to say some rather sizable names.
He actually has his own event called the Barry Sheen Classic. So
we'll get an answer from Zoe's coming on afterwards for the club report. So I know Zoe wrote
writing notes in the corner.
Zoe wrote that. Okay, so we'll get that answered. Don't worry. But what about you? There was a few big crashes, brake failures, and things like that. So, do you want to just give a quick run up of Scarborough?
Big crashes.
Dean went down. Lee went down, didn't he?
Lee was a lucky bunny, mind. Seriously lucky bunny. I don't know the ins and outs of the situation, but it was going on to the last super sport race. So we're going down the back straight, and then like Dean, it was Lee, Dean, then me. And even on a warm-up lap, you're still, hooking fifth and hooking sixth gear, going down, and then suddenly I just see Dean, borderline get his knee down in a straight line. He swerved that quick to get round Lee, and Lee was just upright, looking, and then I went flying past him. I didn't see what was going on. Turn round, there's Lee Johnson, face down on the tarmac. And he's talking, I think the grid was like 20 odd on the grid. And you're thinking, Jesus, when you just look behind and going, like, how is he getting...
It's narrow, isn't it?
And what had he done?
Over the bars, down the back straight. It's not like Lee Johnson just went, boom, gave it a handful of brake.
Probably like a mechanical failure.
It was actually on his... It was like I say, I rode past it. I didn't actually sit, like, it's not like he was on the nose when I came by, but I think he does the vlogs, doesn't he? And I think it was actually on his most recent vlog. If you look at it, I think he did say it was a mechanical failure.
By the way, there's an awesome onboard lap on that thing, and it's facing backwards, and it's the race that you're in P2, and there's some great footage. No,
it's Lee going that way and me going.
You don't actually realise how fast the straights are at Scarborough until you watch that. It's proper motoring on. But for yourself, you're a bit unlucky with a few things, weren't you?
Yeah, just ups and downs in racing, isn't it? So a lot unfortunately with the team's budget, get the violin out, Chrissy. Got that violin out there? So with the team's budget, like Neil and Fran have worked their absolute arse on, like Paul Marley, the whole job lot to get the bike up and running. It's the new Z650. But the only opportunity that we had to go testing on it was, ever done these afternoon track days at Cadwell? I think they'll do them all over.
I've done them up at Knockhill. I've not done it at Cadwell, but
they do them at Knockhill, like 60 quid, and you get like 5 sessions. Is it like 5 sessions for 60 quid?
Up at Knockhill, it goes dark at like 3 a.m, so you just stay there till you can't see, and then you.
I think what a great item for your money wise. You know what I mean? Go do a day's graft or half a day to get your van back. It's absolutely awesome. So we had this great idea, paid the 60 quid, hook, line, or single, whatever. We'll get there, see what the weather's like. Unfortunately, we got there, and it. Absolutely, I've never ridden in rain like it, and I've done a lot of Irish racing, Christian. I've done a lot of Irish racing, and absolutely water playing the whole place, and it was just like, nah, no way. And we only had intermediates for the time. I thought, if I bend this bike in half, just tootling round, you know what I mean? I'm going to be less than popular. So unfortunately, the bike never turned a wheel. You know, that bike's got well over 30 grand in it, you know, the development, you know, the Super Twin game. And so we ended up at Oliver's Mount on it. And like any bike build, doesn't matter if you're the world's best bike builder or an amateur, you're going to find teething problems. And unfortunately, we found a few teething problems, and we suffered brake going up into the S's. It was actually coming in the Mia in the heat race. Then I don't know why they used to run this heat race system like Speedway. So it was like they pick riders like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Didn't matter what your name was or nothing. And they had like a qualifying system for that, which is weird. So anyway, ended up in this heat race in the Super Twins. And in qualifying prior to that, I qualified second just behind Jamie Coward. I'm thinking, all right, the bike's mint. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with this bike. Absolutely.
Never turned a wheel.
Never turned a wheel. Absolutely. You know, we only did 4 laps on it. I'm thinking, no, you know, smiling from ear to ear. Did the heat race. And then, unfortunately, going into me, like, you know, when you just get that spongy feeling. And then I went up to the S's and it just went straight back to the bar. I mean, like, and you normally just give it a handful of front brake just to make it tip in. And I'm going down the back straight going, there is no brake. Now, if I went down towards the calf, 6-gear flat stick, it would have been take out for 1 permanently. It would have been a right mess going into there, I'm telling you. So, you know, so like my mate was definitely looking after us there, you know, just checking the brakes came back. But because I didn't finish the heat race, I had to start the back of the B race. Like, I mean, at the back of the B race. Now, everyone's there doing the best and stuff like that, but like the qualifying times, I think me and Jamie at the time were doing like 1:54s. The guy who qualified on pole in the B race was doing 2:15s.
A little bit of a difference.
A little bit of a difference. So it was a bit like, right, you know, off you go. And like, you know, that's the thing, that the grid was so strong, don't get me wrong, and it was greasy and there was a lot of newcomers in there. That's where the times come from. You know what I mean? And unfortunately I had to start from the back of that. And then, just we had to work our way through. But that was due to that system. That was it for me for the weekend, which was a bit, you know, it was like, oh, for God's sake. Yeah. But got to develop the bike. We found a couple more little problems, and we just need that little bit more time to get the bike right. You know, it's one of those things. And then,
so apart from the result, it was actually really positive.
Yeah, of course. You know, like everything. You know, like, you know, it's 600. We found a gearbox. We had a gearbox problem. You know, it wouldn't go into gear in the last race, but hey, ups and downs.
Just quickly as well, the first Supersport race on Sunday was a Dom's best ride of the weekend, and it
went downhill after that one.
Lee Johnson won, and Dom was a very credible second ahead of it was like Jim Hind. Who there was a few hot on your tails.
Was Todd?
Yeah, Todd was in the race, but P2 in that one was ahead behind Lee, who's, you know, going to definitely be challenging for the British Supersport Championship. So
is he doing full British?
Yeah.
No, is Lee doing full British? Because there's clashes with BSB as well.
Oh, is there?
So the Barry Sheen clashes.
I think
with Oliver's Mount.
I think he'll be going for the British Supersport Championship.
Well, hold on. Now, last year he did that, so I'm not sure.
There's three classes anyway, the next 3 at Scarborough.
Because Lee's still an absolute doer at British Supersport.
He's like qualifying in the top 3 all the time, isn't he? So it's like...
Well, it's just something that's just popped into my head as well. When we're up at Knockhill, the few days before Knockhill, we had royalty there. We had Prince William was out there testing a car, like this special electric car thing.
And then we turned up.
The day before we were there...
Get off my track,
The day before we were there, Susan Boyle was there.
I seen the picture.
Yeah. Subo. So
she's not got any prettier.
Points of an angel.
Have you got the dates?
Oh God!
You got the dates.
So the Barry Sheen clashes with Alton Park. You have first round.
Yeah.
Oh.
And, the next 2 also clash as well, I believe.
Yep. So I'll be at Armoy. You'll be at Thruxton.
Are you doing?
And then that Oliver, and that's the Cock of the North meeting.
Yeah,
so that clashes as well. Like,
are you doing Armoy with Canton?
Oh God, I'm going to open a right can of worms here. But I want to go. I really like to go to Armoy, but anyway, I'm opening the can of worms there.
I wonder how that works with Dean Harrison as well. Then,
yeah,
not just Lee.
Yeah, I think they'll be focusing.
With clashing, I mean, because obviously Dean's down for doing the full BSB championship at Lee, as far as I'm aware, and Lee was down for doing the full Supersport championship, as far as I'm aware.
We'll get this answered as well, because Zoe's looking after.
Check in later.
Yeah, that team, is it Silkaline team? So we'll. Is it Silkaline? Are they called
Silicon?
Silicon. I've always thought it was Silicon.
But in the same breath though, it's a bit like they can earn. They can earn good money at the roads, and fair play. They've both got young families.
Seen the prize money for the spring. The prize money for the Spring Cup was like £1,000 for the win, $750 for second, $500 for third. So like for one of the races, it's not bad, is it?
And them lads get start money. The rest of us don't. But that the rock stars. You know what I mean?
I suppose we'll soon find out. I suppose the hard thing for them boys is like for Lee, who probably will be challenging for the British Supersport. It's not like he can do with it being the first round. It's not like you can do 1 or 2 rounds, and if you've had a bad start, you can then decide, I'll go and do Scarborough. That's it. Or, like one or the other. If it's first round, you've got to make your choice before you even get going.
It would be really good for Oliver's Mount if both the lads came there, because the good thing is they've got each other to chase around the rest of us. So, we're learning to go faster, and we're chasing them down. But you know what I mean? It's
100%.
We're talking British weekend. We got professional riders. Yeah. That is the difference. But it would be good for Oliver's Mount if they turn up. But that is a difficult situation.
We'll soon find out.
I will just say a quick shout out for Oliver's Mount. Every time I go there, right at the top of the stairs, just as you get to the top, the very corner pitch is always a handmade pizza place, and it is the nicest homemade pizzas I've ever. I was just like smashing them all weekend.
I've only ever been to Oliver's Mount once, and it was the weirdest place, because when like you put in your sat nav where you're going or whatever, and then I'm like 0.1 of a mile away, and I turned into Curry's PC World or something, and then I went,
turn left.
And I was like, oh, I am here. It's the weirdest location for a track. It's around the back of that. It was just strange. I genuinely thought I'd put the wrong postcode in just because I went behind that little industrial area, whatever you call it, and I was like, this can't be it. And then, okay, this is it.
I tell you what, we both have a trade now that Chrissy you could use. Tell him what you did at Oliver's Mount, and finally my skill set came in the training here.
I'm struggling.
What did you do?
Wait, this bellend crashed a drone trying to impress a girl.
Oh, God. That wasn't dumb. I did.
Wasn't Rona, was it?
No, crashed a drone. To be fair, I smashed this drone right in the top of the top of a tree, like this massive tree, and I thought, oh God, that's it, it's lost. And then I give Dom a ring, and he's just like a monkey, just straight to the top, put it in his hood, and climbed us all the way back down. Very, very impressive. So a little bit of credit there.
I could not
did
fail
at
that.
Did you have your spikes in the
No, full free, climbed up.
Did you?
No, mate,
impressive.
This is my
Very
one
impressive.
moment. This is my one moment. My trade is useless, and anything else part of trees.
Is that like a bit like when the pilots died or something, and everyone you go, does anyone know if there's a pilot, and you've crashed your drone? Does anyone know a professional arborist?
Mate, that was my one moment. It was my one moment. I loved it.
There was basically like halfway up the tree, there was like a root, and then it got to halfway, and then there was like a massive jump to the next, and there was like these crappy little branches. So I was thinking, I'm never going to be able to do that.
So 2 questions.
It was just like mega impressive anyway.
Was the drone fixable?
Yeah, it was fine. Yeah, it was fine.
£1,000 like.
Was she impressed?
I was out annoying the neighbours the other day.
With me.
Chrissy's broke his drone and the chick's gone home with Dom. Because he's good at climbing trees.
No. She had eyesight. I'm not that impressive, am I? You know what I mean?
Anyway.
We'll move on, sorry.
I tell you what, Dom was at Cadwell Park for Thundersport at the weekend. Just a quick shout out to my old boss Croy, who eventually got into the 28s, did a 128.7, which for pretty much a super stock bike with slicks, incredibly impressive. So a big shout out to Big Phil for that. What's that?
Not for me to talk about.
No, we'll get it in, don't worry. Yeah, I tell you what, we'll leave Cadwell Park for Zoe for like the club section at the end. Estoril World Superbikes was on at the weekend. Mega race, and I've seen a few people putting on Twitter that the sprint race was one of the best races they've seen in recent years. I'd seen a few highlights and stuff. You were saying you were watching it. Do you want to give a quick rundown of the weekend?
Well, just it was mint racing. World Superbikes not been epic for quite a bit, I don't think, and actually the fact that they didn't start out in Phillip Island, because Phillip Island always generates fantastic racing, and then often it sort of goes a bit downhill, the racing after that, I think. And Aragon was a bit like it's a race, but it wasn't spectacular, I don't think. And then Estoril was just absolutely mint racing. the interesting thing for me, again, I'm getting a bit technical about it, but the interesting thing for me was like it was a little bit of a tyre battle in terms of like Johnny Ray was using the Zero, and all the other riders were trying their best to run the SCX, which is the softer compound. Essentially, it was developed to run in the shorter sprint race, but now they all seem to have got a way to run it in the longer race. But what was interesting for me is the fact that Johnny was able to ride the tyre that wasn't of choice and still be as fast. It's almost a bit worrying. So yes, it was super interesting, but I think if everyone was on the Zero, we might have seen an absolute really walkaway win by Johnny.
And Esterel's traditionally, you would say, if you wanted to pick one track where you would fancy Scott over Johnny, Esterel's definitely one of the ones that you would sort of not really fancy Johnny.
Even more top rack. So Esterel was like Johnny's worst track. So actually, even though the racing there was mint, I actually think it could be a really bad omen for the rest of the series, because essentially most of the rest of the field had better tyres on, like using the grippier tyre, and they were at the track that he really hasn't gone well at in the past. So I'm hoping I'm wrong, but it was, for me, it was interesting because I was watching in BSB. We now have the SCX tyre, which is what they use. So there's the Zero, which is the soft compound, but it's the normal compound.
Would you race on that, or would you call that a
qualified tyre? So last year we had I don't even know if we had the one, but we had the Zero and the one being the harder option. I think we had that anyway.
Yeah,
So basically they've done away with the one as far as I'm aware, and we now have the Zero and the X, which is one step softer.
Right.
And we have one race that's shorter than the rest, a bit like World Superbike does, so it's probably going to be the case that the X will be the tyre. So obviously this is the first year we've used it, so I was really keen to see the drop off, and like one of the races the first long race was really interesting because Johnny was on the Zero and the other two were on the X, but actually they both seemed to deteriorate at the same level. So I was sort of watching it from an interested, like I had a reason to be interested in it, and it was interesting for me that what you were expecting was the X to drop away really fast. Normally the softer compound would have a higher grip at the beginning. They need to sprint away, get away, and then when it goes off, obviously try and manage the gap. What actually happened was that they all sort of had the same position and just slowed down at the same rate. It was kind of odd.
The X is supposed to work better when it gets hotter and hotter as well. So it's it'd be interesting to see how that works in BSB.
The DC lads, Chris, he put a 0 in. Mike tried a 0, and then I had a 1 on.
Is this at Scarborough?
No, this is at Cadwell.
All right.
Had a go on them, and I tell you what, totally, like, that 0 had a lot of movement. No lack of grip. I just felt more movement with it. Like not changing.
And what would you normally run?
SC2s, or like I normally run Dunlops on the roads and stuff like that. So Pirelli was like, "This is a bit."
Well, I was going to say, like Dunlops to Pirelli, like a Dunlop doesn't move, and a Pirelli has a lot more movement, but probably a smidge more grip, but a lot more movement.
You see, the mad thing is, like for me, like with sheer lack of experience, it was like a total. It was later in the day, more tired, everything like that. But I felt like the 0 was never the lack of grip, the lack of grip, but I felt more movement from it.
Yeah,
and I was on the phone to you, and I was like, well, how does that like?
The construction of the Pirelli tends to be a lot softer than a Dunlop or a Bridgestone. So yeah, you definitely get that. But they have a load of grip.
But I went from like a 1 to a 0, and I felt like there was more movement on the 0. But my riding was out the fucking pan and shit like that. I'm not. But to our listeners, that is not a good reference to try. Listen to him, not me.
No, the feeling's right.
There was a few more sort of talking points from Estoril. The BMW seemed to make a bit of an improvement. I think they had three of the new M bikes in the top 10, which is a lot better than what they've been doing recently. Eugene Labadie looked like he'd made a massive step forward. Rinaldi was proper aggressive with Johnny in one of this. I think it was the beginning of race 2.
He was,
and yeah, I thought it looked like he like tried to take him out. It was like super aggressive, and then was it Gerloff took Rinaldi out, I believe?
Yeah, like so Gerloff's had a bit of a yellow card and in 2 races on the trot now, so he nearly took Johnny out, didn't he? At Aragon, went down himself, did Gerloff. And that was on a damp track, so I think he just went onto the damp line and couldn't pull the brake, and he fell off himself. And then at Estoril, it looked, to be fair, it looked like he'd missed a gear or something, but he was way out of shape and took down Rinaldi in that one, wasn't it? So,
and after a shaky start for Rinaldi as well,
I was going to say it was actually such a shame for Rinaldi because he sort of had such a quiet Aragon where he'd won on a privateer bike the year before, and like it was just really lackluster. And then he got to Estoril and looked more like his racy self, and then you get wiped out. So that was a shame. Yeah, the BMWs look like they're making progress, and I was listening to Whittam on the commentary, and he was like, he's obviously bigging it up and like going, oh, like they'll be there soon, but I don't know. I just don't see it.
Soon's been a kind of while off. They haven't made it.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
like the
no, I totally
BMW
agree.
it's not a new bike. I know this year is a different.
got wings on
It's a
it.
different bike. It's got wings and a little bit different other stuff. But how long do you give a bike until it sort of doesn't? The Honda now is in its second year and it's not showing any better off than it was the year
I was
before.
about to ask that. Yeah.
So
The BMWs have been given a lot more revs this year as well to try and sort of even it up. And I've got to say I'm a little bit disappointed so far with Van der Mark and Sykesy. I thought they would. I was hoping they would have made the jump to be sort of battling at the front and battling for the.
Sykes is an interesting one because like Tom, again, like his speciality is the one-off Super Bowl lap, and we haven't even seen the raw. His thing is like that. No matter where he's ever been in any practice sessions, you can always count on him to go out and almost put it on the pole. No matter what his weekend build-up's been, and I know we're only 2 rounds deep, but he sort of hasn't even had that yet. So hopefully he can find his pace. But with the BMWs, I'm just not convinced by it.
And speaking of, the MotoGP riders going to World Superbikes, the likes of Tito Rabat's moved across and sort of not making big waves with as he's sort of he's not like battling for wins, is he?
No, and I was actually excited about Rabat going because he's an ex-world champion, isn't he? So he can proper motorbike rider. So it shows the level of World Superbikes, which doesn't get as fair of a billing, I think, as it could do. But even we were just talking about Gerloff, who's been shown a yellow card twice now, but he is for me one of the standouts actually. Even though he's been wiping people out left, right, and centre, I think he is just an absolute talent. I know we spoke about him before, but like I genuinely think he's one of the people to look for going forwards.
And I've heard rumours that Toprak's looking for a MotoGP move. I don't know if that's it's sort of been rumoured, and I think
I'm paying for it to see when I get
when he's in Euro Millions.
That's it.
In terms of commercially, obviously, to have a Turkish rider in MotoGP would be massive. I remember when Kenan Sofoglu was World Supersport champion. He was like he was like top mates.
He's his manager.
Yeah, he was like top mates with the Turkish like king or the prime minister or whatever, and he is literally like royalty over there.
Oh yeah, he's like his right hand man. It's like the king and
because they don't have that many like massive sporting heroes. Toprak will be massive, and especially if he goes to MotoGP, so it makes perfect sense. And he's the king of the late breakers, mind, isn't he? Toprak.
He's unbelievable. Like at Estoril turn 1, he dived someone and he did 2 just while he was at it. It was one of them.
The thing is, he makes, I think it was Ronaldo. In fact, do you know when Gerloff took Ronaldo out, that Toprak passed him, but he's like passing people at the front of World Superbike races, which is like ridiculously, competitive. But he just sort of makes them look average. I don't know how he's got a knack for it, but yeah, he's special.
But funny enough, the rumor is that the thing with Toprak, the thing that might actually hold him back is the fact that he's so like the energy drink sponsor that he's got. Him and Keenan are so in bed with them that they would struggle to go to any team that doesn't have that branding on it.
Is that Red? Is he the sponsor
He's
by
with
Red
Red
Bull?
Bull, yeah. So
And
obviously there's a lot of monster branding on a lot of motorbikes out in MotoGP.
all the KTM and Red Bull are massively in bed with each other. I think the Red Bull own
Maybe you've got a thing there, Chris.
the Austin ring, don't the Red Bull backing KTM massively, I think. And so maybe there's a link there, even if they put another team on the grid.
I would love to see a bit more crossover between the two series. Like World Superbike in the last 4 or 5 years, I thought had got a bit stagnant. They've started to like get a few more new names in and different nationalities even. Even I get a little bit fed up with how many Brits there are. It's great for the country, but actually it's actually like...
Can I just say how mad this is? As the Brits are like absolutely dominating world superbikes, and so you would think it should be like a massive sport over here. The race 2 on Sunday was... we've got 2 Eurosport channels, and one channel there was tennis, and on the other one there was cycling, and the they didn't even show the race live, and you think like,
Yeah, I had to watch it on the because I've got the app, so it was the only way to watch it. It was on there.
yeah, but you think it's like in terms of viewing figures and stuff, it's clearly not like pulling in that much interest. But
We're a country of wet wipes, Chris.
which is a shame, innit? Because
It
it's
is
such
a
an
shame.
amazing sport.
One, because we're so good at it, and as in like, in fact, actually, Aragon, I think race 1, I think 7 of the top 8 at the start of the race were British. It's like it was unbelievable, which is basically all of them, and then Eugene was in there somewhere with his Irish flag as well. So it's no, but more or less the Isles was fully represented, and so but
the interest isn't
and the interest isn't there,
Mhm.
or maybe the interest is there, but the media doesn't. Maybe the interest there, but it's just not catered for. You don't know. But like you go to Spain and Italy and you pick up a paper, not that I can read it, but you pick up a paper and there's a picture of a motorbike on it.
Or even
straight
at like pretty much every petrol station, you'll see like cutouts of like markers.
Yeah. Like every,
or
I know the
supermarkets.
Repsol garages, but like it's true. You see pictures of them everywhere, don't you? And even Alex with the that beer that's not a beer and all sorts, you see it everywhere, don't you?
Mm-hmm. It is. Speaking of no crossover, how good would this be, right? Do you know, like, say, if the lottery
End of the year pit bike race,
right? If there was
MotoGP versus World Superbike.
do you know the what's
Even
it?
I'd feel
At
tasty for
Teesside.
that. I'm definitely there.
Do you know this the Super Prestigio?
Yeah.
Imagine if there was some sort of thing like that, but like say on flat track, you could have like a trials competition and a mini bike and a super. Just make like
It'd
a
be
little
immense.
series,
Mhm.
and then you get all the best riders from like World Superbikes, MotoGP things. Nobody's doing anything anyway. Put them in, especially if it was in a stadium like a Supercross thing. I think it would just be unbelievable. But probably wouldn't have the interest over here. You'd have to do it in Spain.
I'll pay for it anyway, Chris. You don't worry.
Anyway, so wrapping things up, have you got? You usually give an opportunity to plug anything. Have you got any merchandise for sale, or have you got anything that you need?
It's got a chase in the racing hat.
hat,
Yeah. I've seen the because
With a tenner in it.
today's actually 21 days till the first round.
It's Christian Iddon
It's
Day,
Christian Iddon Day. So, you've got a load of merch this year, haven't you?
also known as Friday. Yeah,
Is it Blackwater Graphics? Or something?
yeah. If you just look for Blackwater Graphics and go over there, so they just do some of my merch. So yeah, if you want to buy some stuff and support me and represent, then
Yeah, it's got some nice stuff.
Yeah.
Caps, you've
all
got
sorts of stuff. You
the-
can buy a bag, and you can buy a hat, and you can buy a banner.
Anything you want.
You know.
Anything's possible on Friday, Christian Iddon Day.
Christian Iddon Day.
Hey, Mufafa, what day
No,
is
but
it?
like honestly,
Christian Iddon Day.
but 21, like joking aside, 21 days to go. It's amazing how quickly it goes. Like it was only the other day. It was Joey Thompson Day, which was 74 days. I don't know why that came into my head, but like
You'll be loving that.
no, but you know what I mean. It was like that's like
Soon's comes
how many is that? You're a mathematician. 40 of whatever days, 50 days
Go
that
on,
have
then.
gone really, really quickly.
Mhm.
74, 21.
53.
It's 53 days that has gone really quickly.
There we
But
go.
what like, as in like, it'll feel like tomorrow that we're at round 1.
Yeah. Well,
There
we had you on just before the start of the season last year. There,
Mhm,
just at the end as well. So as we always say, wish you all the best. Hopefully this will be your year.
And before you go, Sugar Tits will kill me if I don't ask you. Are you up for doing it? It's a team event at Fat Cat's motocross race.
When would this be?
No, nah. It's just before Brands. You won't be doing that. No way. Paul Bird would punch me. You probably just want to punch me on the face anyway. But I really think you'd be like, "What, Dominic?
The thing
Why
is,
you get my rider to do motocross events before?"
it's one of them things where you need hindsight, isn't it? Because if it goes fine and you come out unscathed, it was never a problem. Do you know what I
Mate,
mean?
mate.
And whereas you,
If you did a Dovey,
yes,
Yeah, mate, there's no way I'm putting you in that way. Sugar Tits to be listening to this going, "Go on, Christian, don't be a shy bag and do it." But no, don't. You're not doing it. Simple as that. You got a championship to win, son, so we're not doing that.
Paul Bird, I seen on his Facebook, he's I don't know if he's just got it, but a beautiful Ferrari.
oh, I've seen that today.
Looks cool.
Wow.
Nice. Mm.
Yeah.
Have you been out in any of his cars or anything?
No, I haven't. But his lad Frank, who races an Audi in an endurance championship in the World Endurance Championship, and he also races British Rally, and he won the British Rally. I think the first round was at Alton the other day. He won that in his new car.
Mint.
But I've been out. Frank, who's his lad, took me out in his previous rally car, and it was something to
Teesside.
behold. Yeah, that was super cool.
When the race at Alton, do they go off this might sound like a ridiculous question. I presume they don't just stay on the tarmac; they must go off.
So actually, I watched the onboard from Frank's onboard the other day, and they did
that
it
on
backwards.
YouTube or
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It was you can find it
Awesome.
pretty good, and they do the track backwards. So you go around the last corner and then head off before you go down the hill. Turn left, and there's a rally track on the inside.
Of course there is.
But they basically did like 2 laps of Alton as well, but with different. They put cones out and stuff, and all sorts of like chicanes and stuff. So there wasn't really any gravel part of it. It was pretty much all tarmac, but it was cool.
Do you mean at the last corner, like sort of Lodge?
Mhm.
You go off the track there and go back into like
They
where the
turn
paddock-
left at Lodge, so backwards at Lodge, and then you go halfway down towards Druids, and turn left before Druids, and there's
Oh yeah, and they do the skid pan thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
where the marshals normally park
Yeah.
on the right hand side as you come in. So they did all that, which actually is super slippy. Because when I rode for Aprilia years back, and they wanted to, if you rent Alton, or you could back then, you got the whole thing. So what they were wanting to do was do like Aprilias on the track, and then super motorbikes on the rally track. So me and my mate went there just to see if it was all right, and I've never ridden anything so slippy in my life. It's not a normal tarmac. I think they make it so that it's like a skiddy.
To do the police training there, do you know, for like car control and stuff. So yeah, I've seen
Me and my mate set off on slicks. It was a dry day, and like we were bolt upright, like it was just it was horrendous. Then we put some wets in, and even with wets on, it was scary.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So anyway, that didn't happen, but it was. I bet it's good fun to drive a car on. Like. It was cool.
Yeah, I'll watch
Well,
that.
never say never. Never say never. But I tell you what, this is a good opportunity to bring Zoe on. Would you
Yeah,
say,
brilliant.
yeah?
Quick plug for your social medias.
Yeah, I'm on all of them. Just my name. I'm not very good at them. I still need to improve. I'm so bad.
You say that, but yeah.
I'm good at like re-thinging them things.
I was a bit disappointed. There was no.
If I get tagged in stuff, I'm able to like press the do it again button.
Get refresh.
No, not refresh. Not do it again.
No,
like,
retweet
that's
and all
it.
that
It's
stuff.
not, but for other things, regram.
I remember a few.
Re-Instagram.
What was it? You did a thing where the chocolate bar training thing.
Oh yeah,
You've
I need
done
some
so
more
good.
like that.
You talk
That
yourself
was a
down, but
long time ago.
Your social media is strong. This social media game's strong. But yeah, brilliant. Thanks so much for joining us, and look forward to catching up soon. All the best.
Well, you'll see him on Tuesday. So
For this.
yeah.
Yeah, see you down at Donington.
next Tuesday.
Awesome.
Bye.
Take care. See you.
Click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasing the Racing.
So, the return of Zoe from UK Club Sport. Welcome back to the podcast. The last time you were here, it was snowing.
Snowing.
And we've all got lovely tans now because it's now summertime.
I know,
We're getting there.
we almost got snowed in.
We
didn't
did that
happen.
last time, crazy, innit?
Didn't happen.
Time flies, eh?
Got into all sorts of trouble after that one, so I'm going to be good today.
Yeah, less trouble.
Nah,
today.
don't be doing that. That's boring. Just getting plenty of trouble, Zoe. Plenty of trouble.
I know.
But yeah, thanks for coming over. Great time to get a catch up on the club scene because despite the BSB being delayed start, we're having a delayed start for the clubs. It's full go.
Pretty
And,
much, yeah.
You've been at them all, haven't you?
Been to a fair few.
I'm sick of seeing him. I'm sick of seeing pictures. Send you a picture. He's Chrissy. Oh God, he's Chrissy Rouse again. And he's Chrissy Rouse and his Kawasaki.
Just doing as much as I can, man. I need to.
How many rounds have you done? It's mainly no limits you've done, isn't it?
Done a couple
The
of
endurances,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've done a
Yeah.
couple of them endurance
Leading the
races.
championship, aren't you?
I don't know.
Well,
what's your team?
has-beens are. Is that what
I only
you
did
take?
one round with has-beens, to be fair. But yeah,
Ah.
do you know when I did Cadwell with John Ingram and Lee Payne?
That was your team. No, that's the has-been team, isn't it?
That's the has-beens, yeah.
Even though they're scary fast.
So, but yeah,
he was really annoyed. He was like, "Has-beens? I don't think I'm old. I'm not past it.
Well, I hope
I'm
I
still.
know,
What was it? You
hopefully.
said I'm still an up and coming prospect."
That's what I like to think of myself anyway.
Open, mate, I'm sorry, son. You're fully established now. You're not open coming. You are.
I'm on the
For God's sake, man. You're British fucking champion.
next
So
to-
get out of yourself.
Rising up. I would
To
like
be
it.
fair, next to John Ingram, bless him, I'm not saying you're old, John. He's younger than me, but Chrissy's just a boy.
Great lads, then, mine. And
Oh,
can I
John
just
Ingram,
tell you,
brilliant.
we've mentioned it so many times on this pod. You've mentioned it, he's mentioned it, and I'm going to mention it again. He is so fucking fast.
them two were within.
It's brilliant, mate.
All three of us lapped. Our best laps were all within 0.4 of each other around Cadwell. So if you think endurance race where you're not, you're a few seconds off like what you do in a sprint race, but still, banging out. All three of us did 130, like low 32s, which is fast around Cadwell. during. So
That is pretty fast.
the hardly has-beens. The more like club superstars.
I still think he's really fast.
Was
I wish
John-
he would just do a bit more, but
Was John on his Ducati or his BM this time?
BM Gen 3.
The Gen 3, yeah, he just pulls it out because
is he selling the Ducati?
I have no.
Yes.
That's his Ducati, isn't it?
Yeah.
Beautiful looking thing. That
All-
mind.
all the
That's
bells
where
and
you
whistles.
spend your money on if you win the millions.
I'm putting 2 lads through MotoGP already. You know what I mean? I've got to buy a sit-on lawnmower. I've got a busy
Bill price for that is like it's properly spec'd. So if anyone is in the market for a second hand, but like pristine,
I love
beautiful.
One gentle rider.
Yeah, wait, it's been pushed past its capability. It hasn't been crashed, but it's been pushed past its capability. It's a hell of a motorcycle.
You'll get yourself a bit of a bargain there. So get in touch with John Ingram if you're interested. But yeah, have you got any big stories from the world of club racing?
Well, I think the biggest one at the minute, you've already went and told everybody about Phil Crowe with his Mio 128 around Cadwell Park.
It's been coming for
just
a long
for
time.
fun, it has been coming for a long time.
Yeah, he's
128.799.
He's been in the 29s for a while though, hasn't he?
years, yeah.
Like years. Wow.
What's your best round there?
It'll be similar to that, I would have thought. I don't know the exact 10th, but yeah, it would be somewhere similar. That might even be faster than me. I'm not 100% sure.
Right. What is the outright lap record? Who's got it at the moment?
Lee
Carol?
Jackson holds the lap
Lee
record.
Jackson, yes.
and
On
it's
what bike?
a BMW, Smith's Racing BMW.
Really? When was that then?
About 3 years ago.
Never.
And
There's a great big massive picture on the wall in Cadwell Park.
I can't read. So even though I write a column for your magazine, I can't read.
It's in the calf. You cannot miss it on the way out, and it's like Lee Jackson lap record holder, I think, or was there? Yeah.
Someone was. I think it was actually Crowley telling us. It was. I thought it was Leon Haslam. Has he not got an unofficial like? Someone was telling me the outright lap record was a qualifying, and Lee Jackson set it in a race, which makes it the lap record.
Yeah.
But Leon Haslam's got the qualifying. Is that?
yeah, that sounds plausible.
That sounds plausible, but Lee Jackson's got the lap record.
Yeah, well, no, that's right. No, that's the truth. But no, it's interesting to see, like, so.
And that's obviously Lee's local track. I mean, is it just because these guys are local that they do so well there, with it being Cadwell?
It is a bit of a niche track. I feel sorry for like the likes of the Japanese riders that come over, because it's, if you've been racing there for the last like 4 or 5 years, there's intricate little parts of the track where you can sort of get away with this, you can get away with that, and like you just have to be so precise that track knowledge is massively key there. But you do get people that turn up, the likes of Tommy Aquino, who came over from America. Out of all of the tracks in the UK, you'd least expect him to win at Cadwell, and he went out and smoked everyone. So yeah, it's just one of those things. I think some people gel with it. It tends to be a track where people you don't improve incrementally. You'll go there and you'll be like stuck on a lap time, and then the next time you go, you'll take 3 seconds off, and you'll be like, I don't know what I've done differently. It's just one of those things that, like, when you made a massive jump from this weekend, didn't you?
Yeah, massively. I tell you what, before we get into that, and before I forget, who's this Max Stint? He's riding for P. Hickman. Well, what's the race team called? PHR.
PHR.
Yeah.
PHR. Max
He's second in the championship.
He's second in the championship, but
Yeah.
Crowley broke down with a cracked exhaust pipe at the lap speeds. He was absolutely howling around the place. And what's his story then? Do you know what?
I don't know much about him.
He'll be in the next column if you're listening.
I'm going to
Max,
have to find him.
You're
Yeah.
going to
Yeah,
have to find him.
He won the 600 championship at Thundersport last year, and he's a local lad to Peter. So Hickman did a sort of deal with him to take him up to on the 1,000.
It was a good move because he's flying. Because we've still got like Brendan Mallender, who's defending champ. He's still leading the points. He's
on his Gen 3 BMW, isn't he? So
he's on 113 points, and Stainton's on 75, which is bugger all in clubs.
Where's our resident Dominic?
Let's not talk about me. Can we just
Well,
talk about
fifth.
everyone? No.
Do you know what? I didn't write you
Sixth.
down, so you can't be that. Oh, you were.
I think I'm sixth.
sixth or
I
seventh
missed
or
a couple of
something, yeah.
races. So
That's not. You talk yourself down, Dom. But sixth at
fifth.
Thundersport,
It's still Thundersport, and this was something I was wanting to say. Was I feel it's still too early to tell, but it almost feels like I've felt, and I don't mean any disrespect to Thundersport, but I felt in the last couple of years the faster riders have actually been at no limits, and
now you know why that is.
for the money, it's the money. But I do sort of feel like, and I don't know if this is just me, it just seems to be at the moment that Thundersport's come back, boom, we're back. this is business as usual. Whereas at the minute, no limits, it's impossible to tell because this lot are pissing about. You know, and it's always difficult. And I don't mean that in a bad way either. It's fantastic when these guys show up, you know, and I think the club races tend to enjoy having you guys on track. But it is a little bit difficult at the moment to sort of see what are the speeds going to be like at no limits.
That's not being detrimental to any organized, like, you know, Thundersport run in a fantastic event. No Limits run a fantastic event. We're not talking, you know, like...
Can I just quickly clarify something? Because I don't think people realise this. When I do all the club racing, don't take any points, prize money or trophies.
No, I know that.
I'm literally
but he does take the glory. He takes every drip of it. Every drip of it.
But this is the problem, though, and it's not him taking or anything.
No,
but
I'm winding.
It doesn't matter who gets the points. The woman, the man, the person. The first bike over the line is the one everybody remembers as won, regardless of whether they get the points or not.
I'm saying that I haven't even been winning them anyway. I don't think I've won any this year.
You have, haven't you?
But like when you're talking about like the British side of things. But the man thing, going back to your point though, you see, the good thing is like your brain has had a full-on melt there. I do apologize, but your point prior was. The clubs, they're both fantastic clubs. Not one of them's better than the other. That is the truth of it. That's my opinion. Shoot me down. I don't care. Both have really fast lads. But the fact is, if you can go racing and earn a couple of quid, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know, racing is extremely expensive. And sadly, if someone's willing to put a purse up, why wouldn't you go do that? And I like that. That's the true side of it. And that is going to attract the faster lads. Thinking, well, because... What is the prize fund like for the no limit side of things?
So it's £1,000 for the winner over the weekend, and then I think it goes like 750, 500, something like that. So
that's a lot of trees for me. Like that's a lot of trees.
You know, that's more money than they're going to win for a long, long time on motorbikes.
To be fair though, like your tyre bill for the weekends would be £1,000. So like
that's what I mean. If you can go away racing and not theoretically pay for it, you know, you'd have to be, and you're going to attract the honeypot of races, you know, and it's a bit. But the good thing is, if they didn't clash, I don't think any have clashed, have they? Or how many?
No.
I talking about Thundersport and
Thundersport and No Limit. We're only using these two as an example, you know, like, you know what I mean? There's Bemsey and there's all the other
we need
clubs.
to bring Bemsey in as well, because
no, it's a shame. It's not.
I'll have Mike Dummett after us.
The problem is it's only 52 weeks in the year, isn't it? So, you know, in an ideal world, there'd be a club for every week. And you know what would happen if they had a race weekend like that every other weekend? Every rider would go to it. Every rider wants to be on the bike and wants to be going racing. You know what I mean? You're doing like quote unquote club level racing because it's track time.
Exactly.
That is the sheer side of it, isn't it?
Have we got any sort of up and coming top 600 riders across the clubs? Is there anyone to keep your eye on? You always have a pick. You always have a pick of the pack.
Well, obviously James Hines kicking around on one, so there's still that sort of.
I tell you what, I don't think he listens. He does listen to the pod.
Who knows? He's a mystery man.
No, he does listen to the pod, and I'm not sure. Well, hold on. He hasn't done it. When's the first round?
Of what?
British? I've kind of let it out of the bag there.
26th and 27th, a few weeks' time. So by the time this goes out, I think I've heard rumours. This is not from the horse's mouth at all, but the lad is hopefully going to be either doing some British or all of it. And I really, really, really hope that happens. You were battling with him at Cadwell, weren't you, on the 1,000? Or am I getting my wife?
Yeah. So he was out on the 1,040. He had a bit of a tip off as well, but it was the lad is so fast. But that lad needs to be in British, and I really, really hope it.
Did you have some good battles with him on track?
Stayed with him. You know, it was one of those situations. Learned a lot. Me and Mike Norbury rode absolutely fantastic as well. We're both learning thanks to the DC lads. You know, we can't thank them enough. But here's a question. Shelton, you know,
I was going to say Arnie Shelton.
I had a bit of crap with, like, he was just pulling up in his own, and
he's leading the championship.
I tell you what, he builds his own engines. You know, he's running like a stock 600 front end. You know, like with a different conversion. He is doing literally everything on a budget, and he's getting really good power. You know, brake horsepower. You know, it's a figure that like gentlemen don't discuss, but he's getting really good power out the thing, and I came in and he's competing against the two R6s. Now, the R6 is the most modern bike out there. You know, if you're going to buy a bike, that's what you really go for in the 600 class. But I came in, put his bike in the paddock stand. I said, how do you get on? Were you struggling with it down the streets? He goes, nah, not this weekend. I thought, what an honest stand. Like, a lot of riders going, yeah, they just fucked up. You're thinking, no, he was very open. You know, he's building his own engines. He's doing... He's got a shock in it. I think it's called a squidgy or something. I've never ever heard of it, but he's making the job work.
So
like.
is this the 600 championship at Thundersport?
Yes.
Right.
Sorry, I'm miles away. But no, like it just shows what lads are doing to make it work.
And obviously Arnie's been around for a long time. Is there anyone like young and up and coming that's...
It's the same sort of, because we've got like, again, it's people like Joe Talbot's in there.
He's a solid sort of super stock rider,
yeah.
really, though. Like a little bit like myself.
It's like, is he going to hang around in there? Probably not. He's just hanging around, and Max Wadsworth as well. It's kind of what I need, realistically. I want the season, I want your lot to start. So everyone that's not going to stick around for the year either buggers off or misses around or what have you. And then we can get an idea. It's like in super teams, I think we've got Joe Howard leading, which I wasn't expecting Joe Howard being back. And then at Cadwell Park, Ash Barnes came and cleaned up and won all 4 races, which if both of those go out, that's going to leave Katie Hand leading super teams, which is quite interesting. Yeah. And the girls, there's been, it's no longer a story that a girl rides a bike. We went from...
The grids are filling.
It's not a story anymore, unfortunately. I get people saying, "Oh, will you write about so-and-so she's racing?" It's like, it isn't a story anymore. There's nothing unusual. Yeah.
Which is great. And which is great,
It's a shame when you get new girls coming through, I can't really do anything on you because man rides bike's not a story, so now girl rides bike. But Katie Hand, she had a big off, I think, at Cadwell.
Right. Was she all right?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. Well,
I think she did. I'm sure it was Katie Hand, and if it wasn't Katie, I'm so sorry, but I'm sure it was.
And Lissy, how did she get on?
She did well as well, I think. I haven't done my column
She
yet.
writes a column for you.
But
And you're like,
can we talk about, have you seen the photograph of Charlotte Marcuso over the mountain? You haven't seen it. You just talk amongst yourselves for 2 seconds.
Well, hold on. The second you find it, you'll have to send it to us because then we'll give it
I'm
the grace.
I'm just going to get it out. This is the...
That's a new name for me. What's her
story?
Hold
on. This is the Biaggi.
It's a Colin Port image, and I'm going to give Colin Port a plug because I haven't given him a plug for a while. And I think he was upset that somebody else took some photos for us. So here you are, Colin.
What's the story behind? Did you say Charlotte is her name?
Yeah.
Where's she come from? Like, what's her
She
story?
was in our feature on the girl. She's the one that was a ballerina. She's a ballet dancer. Now Maria Costello, actually, when
she's still there on motorcycles, or like she's doing a fair bit with cars at the moment, isn't she?
When I spoke to her, and I hope this doesn't offend anybody else, she said of all the girls that she'd seen, Charlotte was the one that she thought was the one that was going to go all the way.
Everyone has a favourite, don't they? You know what I mean? Well, no, that's right though, isn't it? You know what I mean? Everyone keeps an eye on someone, so...
This is someone else's picture, I think, but you can see that she's going all the way pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw that. That's an outstanding photo of that.
That is fully... Send us that over and I'll stick it on the YouTube.
Yeah, I will.
Nearly flipping over the mountain.
I'm trying to... It just doesn't lend itself to a cover because I really want to use it on the cover of the next...
No, put that on the cover. It's your magazine. You can do whatever you want with it. Put it on, man.
I'd like to. I just don't think it fills it enough because you have to think about stupid things about how things look. But I'm going to give it a go because I saw it and I was just like, wow.
There we go.
That's Charlotte. She's such a lovely young thing as well.
We saw you bombing around Scarbados there. So were you happy to be back in the Rhodes paddock as well then?
Do you know, I'm just happy to be back in any paddock because I didn't do anything last year apart from Free Tech. Because I had to work covering everything meant I couldn't do BSB, so I was stuck. So it was fab. Everybody I knew, not everybody, pretty much everybody I knew was there. Obviously, you were there. It was just we didn't have Harry.
No.
Harry Payne should have been there, but obviously because Mark got injured, and he won't do it without him.
When did Mark get injured then?
Got him injured at the first round.
First round of Derby.
No. It was at Brands, wasn't it?
Harry was at Snetterton.
Yeah, he had a stand-in passenger and they did really, really well. Right. But it was the first round at Brands. And I'm having a mental block. They run with NG, don't they? So, yeah. I don't know what happened. Actually, I do know what happened. But, yeah. Mark ended up with a big hole in his hand and there was a lot of damage to the bike. And Harry sort of, he kind of didn't know what he was going to do, whether or not he was going to not ride until Mark was well. But he has come back, but refused to do Oliver's Mount without marks. So
Yeah.
that's why there was
You've got to
one.
You've got to have faith in your pass. You've got to have faith around there, haven't you?
There was one, like, because they had a full sidecar grid bar one, and it was like, that should have been Harry. Harry would have been on the grid, but...
I find it so hard to even comprehend how sidecars can race around Oliver's Mount.
You
It's
and
like
me both.
it's difficult to pass on a bike.
I know.
It looks difficult. I've never raced. It looks difficult to pass on a bike, but a sidecar around there. It
Mate,
must
if
be
you're saying that, right?
Why don't you get one? Like when you retire from bikes, why don't you, like, because this is what everyone always says. And weren't you doing an impression? That I came into your awning and you were doing an impression, holding court, doing an impression of a sidecar passenger. Can you not remember? But by the time I got my phone out, it was too late. You'd missed it.
Dom's been a sidecar passenger a few times. So.
He was climbing all over his blooming super twin in the Cowton
Oh,
Garrett.
God,
Awning, weren't you?
that's it. I can't mind John who was speaking to.
I can't remember what the conversation was or why, but you were doing it.
You never know with me, to be fair, mine it could be out, couldn't
He's
it?
going, this is how you're a sidecar passenger, and he's just jumping all over the...
I tell you what.
You can see Fran, like, just... No,
Get off me bike.
Get off the bike. Get off the bike, Dominic.
So, but yeah, it was a good weekend, and I guess you're back with, I'll get it right this time, Silicone.
Silicon engineering.
What is it, silicon?
Silicon engineering
Silicon
racing.
engineering.
How can you not
So
get that
earlier
right?
in the podcast, we were talking, what's Dean going to do? BSB, Oliver's Mount, can you...
Yeah, come on, how are you, man?
Do you know?
He doesn't listen to this pop, did he? They did an interview, I think it was one of Lee's vlogs, right? And one of the questions, they were like doing a question and answer thing, travelling up the country, where like John McGuinness was in there,
yes,
Lee Johnson and stuff like that. And I think one of their listeners, one of their listeners was one of our listeners, and said, "Oh, Dean, you're not doing it. You're not going on Chasing the Racing." And Dean was going to obviously answer in a very political, like, calm manner, and it went like, "Didn't John McGuinness gone? Dean, didn't you say you'd rather dig a hole or something like that?"
Yeah, he said the question came in like, when you're going on Chasing the Racing, and Dean went, just Dom's listed us a few times, but I just it's never been the right time, but I'll definitely go on, type of thing. And then John just went, "Well, that's a lie, because you've just said just before we were doing this you'd rather dig a big hole." And Dean was like, "I just mean like vlogs and like sort of dug us out," but it was really funny. But
He's just brilliant, Dean, isn't he?
If he is listening to this, we'd still want you on the show, mate.
You need to get him and Conrad on, actually.
It'd be
that
mint,
would be
wouldn't it?
absolutely mint.
Every time we put these, any recommendations, Dean's always at the top of that list.
Speaking of other big jobs as well, you had a massive, it was like a few pages of, was it MotoGP or World Superbikes in the Daily Mirror or the Daily Star? Or...
It was World Superbikes. They did and it was really funny because you were talking about the media not giving it enough, and I'm thinking, well, we do.
Yeah, and no, it was
a dirty trick by Eurosport, though. That was still.
What's that?
That was a dirty trick by Eurosport not showing the World Superbikes last weekend.
As bike fans, it's just frustrating because it's
couldn't even put it on Quest.
Yeah, because it's such, for us, it's such an entertainer, and like we're all so invested in it and love it so much. Mm-hmm. So it is. And I guess it comes down to someone's decision, and they'll probably maybe have more people watching the cycling or whatever. But just as bike fans, it's just disappointing, isn't it?
We did they sort of. I never know until like the last minute how much words they want, and it was a preview for World Superbikes, and they were like, we'll have like 450 words, and then like an extra 100 on this, that, and the other, and gets the paper the next day, and they'd done the Daily Mirror and the Daily Star. They had both done like a full page, and they'd given me like really fantastic headlines. One was Reading Vows, and the other one was the Great British Break Off, which I thought, wow, why didn't I come up with those headlines? And they were like 4 pages in the national tabloids, and with like pictures of Scott and Johnny and stuff.
Mm-hmm. That rivalry's heating up, and it gets more and more sort of, for me, it's getting more and more exciting. And I would like, just from a selfish point of view, I would like there to be a bit of needling, there to be like a bit of hatred, just to spice it up, because that to me would like make it.
We almost thought with Chaz, didn't we? There was always there was a couple of moments you thought, Chaz is just going to twat him, he's going to go, or there's going to be something's going to snap.
See the girl out of Sunderland, but you can't get Sunderland out there. Get on, DM.
But no, I think as a journalist, you always want some drama or something, and so does everybody,
Well.
So I had to. There was something you said before about Garrett Gerloff cutting his teeth. And I like to say he's doing more than just cutting his teeth. I think he's doing really well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It is his second season, though, isn't it? It's not his first year. Did he do a full one last year?
Yeah. I was saying last year he was sort of cutting his teeth, to be fair.
This year it's like, what? He's ahead of... And you mentioned, Toprak passed him after he crashed. It's like, he's beaten Toprak around there. It's like, it's pretty incredible if he can just... string it together, is it the next Ben Spies? Is that where we're sort of looking there?
Possibly. Not when you think of it. Ben Spies actually won World Superbikes at his first
attempt, I know.
which is literally unbelievable.
And he
really
didn't
nice.
just win it; he just made them all look amateur, didn't he?
It was one of those iconic changes in style as well. He was he was very different to everyone else, and then people have sort of adapted his riding style as well. But he's still involved in commentating also. I've seen a bit of him.
I don't know. I've never really seen much of him. I see him on. You sort of see him on Twitter and things, but that tends to be it. I haven't really.
It was an injury that sidelined him, I think, anyway. But I tell you what, it's in terms of club racing.
We've lost it.
Have we got any big events coming up sometime soon? Or?
Can we talk about what on earth do you know? Do you still see Phil Atkinson much?
No, I've not.
What the hell is he up to now? It's like these just.
Even at CRMC.
He was at Free Tech.
Am I thinking the right CRMC Phil Atkinson?
Yeah.
Factory Phil. Yeah.
You know he's doing Blue Haze, and he's also.
Is that a drug?
What is that?
It's actually.
It's spice cut down with cocaine. It's hellish like.
It's the next level from Purple Haze.
Mate, I've been feeding it you for months.
What do you mean by that?
It's the Blue Haze Championship. It's old things. It's old things, Chrissy.
Classic bikes.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Things.
And but what's got me, and I hadn't realised this because I tend to pay attention to the Team Green Junior Cup. So I was just checking this out tonight, and it was like, and Phil Atkinson got another. I said, sorry, Phil Atkinson's now riding in the 300 Senior Cup, which obviously he's winning. But it's like, is Phil actually now going for the rider who has raced more classes than anyone else? And if this is true,
is that the equivalent of like Bempsey's Super Teen Championship?
Yeah, but it's the one for the over. So they're seniors. They have like the Team Green Junior Cup. And then like the Team Green Senior Cup, which is for everyone over whatever the age is at the moment, 18 or 17 or 21, whatever it is. And Phil Atkinson, Big Phil, who's leading the Team Green 300 Senior Cup, which is just...
Fair play.
So maybe we need to get you two guys on 300s as well. Get out there as well.
No, I'm not coming second again.
Not for me.
Yeah, speaking of which, you know what? I've just realised. Apologies for interrupting you. We should be at the TT.
I was going to say that. Do you know what? I was in the shower before I came. I thought, what we're going to talk about?
I was in the shower, lathering up, and I thought, I'm going to be at the TT with my titties.
I wouldn't be there without them, would I?
Sorry.
He's a one-off, isn't he?
I know. I don't know. I can feel myself going red. That never happens. And I was thinking, this is all well and good going over to the podcast, but we should all really be at the island right now.
It's upsetting.
This should be like practice. We should all be heading out. We should be.
Well, it should be first race tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And that's always my favourite race. First race, Saturday.
Why is that then?
I just love it because I love practice week. I think practice week is just such a buzz because every day more people are arriving who some you haven't seen since last year, and you get that buzz, and it just leads up to that first race on Saturday morning. It's like, by the time I get the senior I'm done, it's like, oh God, it's a bit boring now. I find race week quite a damp squib after the build up of practice week. They're out every night, and Saturday morning we're gonna have the first race, and it's like, yeah. And then we have a sidecar race, yeah, and it's just, what have you.
And then
everyone goes out and gets hammered on Saturday night, which is the best night. And then hangover Sunday. I've usually got World Superbikes or MotoGP, so I'm in the media room with cheesy chips and curry. And everybody's just sort of wandering in and out, and then back out again on Monday. I just love that. That Saturday is the best day.
No, I like that.
Let's just think this time next year. So we've only got 50
Well, I was also thinking as I got out the shower, because my mind doesn't do a lot, I was thinking, well, at least we're now just a year away. Because before, it's been like, well, it's over a year now until the next TT.
Yeah,
but now it's like...
We were here at this point last year.
Stop it, Dominic.
No, you know what I mean? No. Mm-hmm. I'm not meaning that, my God. It needs to happen. It needs to happen. But we were like this last time, and you just think it's a year's. Oh,
do you know what?
I'll be happier next week.
Yeah.
No, because then once senior's done, it's almost like you got to reset your brain again, right? Well, that's it's
well,
gone
that's
now.
it.
So.
Yeah. I actually, isn't this terrible? I finally watched your religion of sport thing last week for the first time.
Really?
I'd never seen it before because I don't normally watch things like if they're not on telly because I'm old. And I was like, let's watch this. And it was like, it was canny actually.
It's a grip and watch, isn't it?
How many
like
views has that had now? 12.
13.
Oh, champion.
But it was nice to see you, Mum. It was just like, bless her, she's class, isn't she?
My mum's got a special spot in heaven for her. I tell you, she really does.
She's
my,
just
my
mental.
dear
It was
mother.
just the way she talks to you. It's brilliant.
I was really impressed with the video Oliver's mounted with it. I think it's something
Ian
to do
Higginson,
with.
We've got to mention him.
Yeah, I was going to say there is the Ian Higginson one,
But
I
the
was
proper
gonna
one's
say
out today, isn't it? And
the
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, the Apple TV. I don't know about the full hour documentary thing, but there was a short video that was put on Facebook, which
it was beautiful.
lots of Dom.
Beautifully shot, yeah.
It was really like is it cinematic, would you say,
Yeah.
is the things? But also massive thank you to Ian Higginson as well, who did a superb job with Dom's thing. Look, it was really good. That one.
No, mint. Absolutely mint. I'm not looking forward to the invoice because it was hellish good quality, so I'm not looking forward to that. But no, thank you very much, Ian. Obviously, you were watching, so didn't want to leave us out because he did a mint one at Chrissy when he won the championship. That
I
was
haven't even seen that one.
My God, do you not have the signal at Lowfell Gateshead or something like that?
Have you? I'm too busy in the shower thinking about the TT.
Yeah.
Oh God! No, wait, you need to watch that because that's another Ian one, and it was absolutely brilliant. And he felt a bit biased. He's a big podcast fan.
I think the first Oliver's Mount one dropped tonight, just when you were talking to Christian there. I was just sat and I'm sure I saw it, but
Right.
So I think there's like a few parts to that, isn't there?
Seemed very professional. There was a full, obviously the ITV were there with Steve Parrish, but
Yeah.
aside from that, there was another film crew. But like all the bells and whistles, and I'm really excited to see what the producer. I know you did quite a few interviews with them, and
I couldn't get near Dom. I mean, it was just people queuing up to interview him all the time.
No, I just saw a lot of people money. That's why they're coming in, going, yours for that tyre, yours for them brake pads, yours
Big
for
name
that
on
chain.
campus.
I spoke to Chrissy, and all he could do was talk about the pizzas at the top. What are you eating tonight? You want to go and get a pizza?
Class, man. That's what he was doing with the drone, finding pizza shops. Can I go for this?
Tell you what, quick shout out to Scarborough. Obviously, it's really cool to have a road race it's so close to where we live as well. We're sort of pretty lucky with that. And to Andy and the team, obviously, who've getting back up and running. And there's 3 more events. So if you are local and you can get to the event, it's something a bit special, a bit different to like any of the club racing or track racing.
It's totally different to anything else you'll ever do. I mean, Chris Burns had a bit of a baptism of fire, bless him. He did all right though. He finished 6th in the end in his race from 13th or 14th on the grid.
Brilliant.
Made a few moves and stuff.
Well, he's done the right thing by building into it rather than just going boom straight off the bat. So,
but it's the atmosphere, and I think that's got to have been created by Andy and obviously Sean and Haley, who tend not to get.
Oh God, them two grabbed their asses off.
We left quite late because I think always the last out. You lot had all gone by the time we left, and Sean was in the middle of uploading bits of fencing and stuff, and Haley was just running around because Andy had gone to do his rallying by then. He'd flown off to do his stuff. Yeah,
They never stop.
They never stop.
Unsung heroes, them two, aren't they? So Sean and Haley and the rest.
Yeah.
All marshals.
Big shout out to them all. What about yourself in terms of the schedule for this year? Are you planning on coming to the BSB?
Yeah.
All the club racing? What's in the pipeline?
We've got to go to Knockhill. Like you're definitely going, but I've got to go with you.
All right.
Broadbeard Oils wants to do a podcast swap.
Yeah,
or something like that.
I spoke to him about that.
Aye, grand.
Well,
as long as that's sorted there.
Everything stops first of all because we're going to Croft this weekend. Because I love No Limits. They are just great fun, and I haven't seen them for a year. I haven't seen Paul Rennie for a year, which is a good thing. No, I've missed him a lot. I just love the No Limits crowd. They are good fun.
Mm-hmm.
And they come to Croft.
Yeah,
and it'll be good. Be great.
I haven't been there on the new tarmac, so I'm looking forward to getting around there.
Oh, are you racing this weekend?
Well, because every entry is massively full, but just want to iron out on the counting machinery on the Super Twin and the 600. But I could get on the test day for the Friday. My God, that was 170 quid just for the test day. the dear all doing at this motorcycle racing.
Track
Oh,
day,
no,
track
that's...
day at Croft, you'd pay more than that, wouldn't you?
Oh,
I was
God,
going to say,
no.
it's more than that,
no.
isn't it?
It's, no, don't get me wrong. I'm not having a go at no
You
limits
are,
and
you're
put
having
the
a
price.
whinge.
I'm having a whinge at the sport in general. It's obviously everything goes up and up, but 170 quid to go. It's anyway, I'm whinging. Yeah, but anyway.
If it makes you feel any better, Knockhill the other day was 400 quid for the day, so
For 2 days or 1 day?
It's 550 for 2 days.
I know, but you get twice the laps because it's only a short circuit, remember?
It's an open track. Oh, here we go. So no,
three
limits.
sessions, 260 I think it was. So count yourself lucky.
There you are. All right, sorry.
But go on.
So yeah, no limits. Look, we're getting thumbs up or thumbs down here.
He's saying-
Get
He's
yourself
saying,
in.
hurry up.
Hurry up, hi. So someone is at the door invading the north. There you go. So yeah, at no limits, and we're doing the test day, but I'm second on the reserve list for the 600. But I'm teaming up with a legend of the sport, a true legend of the sport.
Do you want us to go and take kneecaps?
Chicken Charlton.
Chicken
Charlton and Gary Whitfield on their 1,000. So we've jumped in their endurance race. So them two on 1,000s, and I'm on the 600. So it's a 3-hour endurance race, isn't it? So just shy of an hour get there. So
we'll get that. I'll try
a few problems ironed out.
Try and pop down and come and see you. And just to we'll always give people a chance to plug. Obviously, you plug your magazine, UK Club Sport, which I've can I just say the last edition with the big A3 Chasing the Racing poster was amazing. So thanks very much for sorting that out for us. And obviously, for anybody that's interested in the club scene in the UK, head over to UK Club Sports website
and roads. We do roads.
Support classes for
and
BSB.
Support classes. We do everything under BSB now, and we do even do Supermoto now as
It's
well.
literally got everything in. So if you head over to UK Club Sport website, you can subscribe for the full yearly subscription for just £45.
Yeah, because we're back to monthly now, which Dom's arse fell out when he walked in the kitchen. I was like, want a column from you by next week. Oh God, the Filofax came out and the.
And as well as that,
He hates me now.
Obviously, Zoe's looked after all of my media inquiries and stuff for it's about 10 years now, isn't it? Or maybe 13 years, in terms of website and social media. So if anyone out there from club racing or BSB or just wherever you're at, anything from teams to individuals, you can get in touch on your website or social media.
Something.
Do you want to give an email address out?
Zoe@zoeburn.com.
Nice and easy to remember. But aside from that,
even Dom can remember it from week to week. So.
Oh no, I've just got it saved under Devil. Awesome. But I tell you what, before we go, thank you for my new hat. Well, thank you, Flash and the crew of the TT Cases lot for providing us with some new hats that we'll be getting up for sale soon, Chrissy.
Yeah, so if anyone's after, we've just got some new Chasing the Racing hats and snoods as well. We've got these in black and red.
Snoods.
Head over to chasingtheracing.com and it's just on the merchandise thing. But yeah, they are nice. We had a few.
Was that the hat that I believe was Mike Norbury's girlfriend was wearing it?
No, different hat. Oh,
she's got a different one. She's got the double pom pom. We had a few.
I don't remember. I just remember, this is terrible. I just remember seeing this ridiculously attractive girl in a Chasing the Racing hat. And I was like, who are you? You know.
Where did you get the hat from?
Who are you? Where have you come from? Is this Chrissy's latest girlfriend? And then I realised, no.
That's where Mike gets his nickname from, Lucky Mike.
I tell you. And then, but I actually spoke to her. She came and spoke to me. We had a conversation. I'd never met her, never spoken to her before. She just came up to me. We had a conversation about our DMs. Like I had my red DMs on, and she had her black ones. And I love your DMs. And I was like, oh, I like yours.
I
And
thought you were talking about direct messages.
No,
I was saying here first. I'm like Doc Martens. It's got to be Doc Martens straight off the bat. So there we go.
Sorry, our docs.
Yeah, sure. Lovely. Well, anything else to?
I think that's it. I think I've managed to probably not get myself sacked from anything today.
Success.
So we'll give that a go.
Fantastic. Well, best of luck down at Croft for the weekend. Like I said, I will try and pop in to watch. And
I can't believe you're not riding at Croft.
I did have the opportunity, but just
I bet he ends up on a bike.
Yeah, probably be off mine. Fran will put him on the 600 again. Get this knacker off. Put him on.
I was thinking, but obviously it's I've been doing quite a bit of testing and it's not cheap, and because I don't actually race at Croft and BSB, it's any sort of settings. There's nothing really critical to test there.
Remember when we went and we had curry and and chips. It was great.
Yes,
that was a
mega.
good day. It was really good curry, but the curry's not as good now.
Everything,
And on that bombshell.
everything going downhill. But yeah, brilliant. Thanks so much. And
Thank you.
We'll be back next week. So we'll maybe get a podcast sorted down at Croft. And catch up soon. Thanks for joining us, Zoe.
Thanks for having us.
And take care, everyone.
See you in a bit, sorry.
See ya. Bye.
Click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasing the Racing.